Danful offers unparalleled, curated and bespoke tours across Africa. Danful offers unparalleled, curated and bespoke tours across Africa for travelers seeking genuine cultural experiences, enriched with magnificent sights, sounds and flavors found on the continent. Each trip is reliably curated to ensure visitors are gifted with an immersive and authentic adventure. Whether you find yourself strolling along the charming white sand beaches of Sierra Leone, feasting on the mouth-watering delicious foods in Senegal, observing or partaking in various aspects of the Isheshe traditional system Ifa native to Yoruba land, Nigeria, with Danful, you will rediscover a fulfilling sense of kinship to the true heart of the motherland, her communities. Our core values focus on integrity, quality, safety, and sustainability. We are uniquely committed to assisting with the advancement of African infrastructure and promoting African businesses, so both travelers and the communities they visit receive beneficial exchanges. At Danful, we understand the importance of connectivity, and we have created a model which provides bespoke experiences based on your passions or hobbies. With us, expect a long-lasting spiritual bond between you and your destinations. Live, love, Danful, Africa. To learn more, visit danful.africa.
Peace, family. We are live again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Huru. Guys, sorry about the connection issues. The hotel that I am at, we are at actually, in St. Louis, Senegal. The Wi-Fi isn't the strongest. So please forgive me, and please forgive the background noise. Like, my hotel is pretty dope. It's very it has character, it's rustic. Like, I have it's kind of, so when you think, so St. Louis, I'm sorry, Senegal, the area that we're in is similar to the French Quarter of New Orleans without the foolishness of the French Quarter. So you have these old French buildings with the Romeo, well, not Romeo and Juliet, they're actually real balconies with the balconies everywhere. So my room has a balcony facing the street, and it's like where the hotel is located, Hotel de la Poste. If you're familiar with St. Louis, Senegal, like when you come off the bridge, like the hotel is right there. So there's a lot of traffic coming off the bridge and onto the bridge. So if you hear horns and stuff in the background, I apologize. But yeah, hit that like button. Please hit that like button. Also, you share and make sure you subscribe. Real quick, before we jump into it, a couple new ground rules or house rules. I'm sorry. Number one, guys, I'm done with the name calling, the back and forth, the cussing. We're ending that tonight. So you'll get one warning. Well, the N-word tariff is in effect, but outside of that, when it comes to cussing, excuse me, you'll get one warning. After that, you gotta leave the chat or leave the panel. Sorry. Yeah, because I can't do it anymore. It's somewhat draining. And I think as adults, we should be able to communicate effectively without having to cuss and yell at each other. So that's the new rule. Got a couple of announcements. Currently we're in Senegal. Tomorrow is the last day. Well, really today's pretty much the last day. Tomorrow we're just gonna eat, and then people start heading to the airport to fly back to the States. But yeah, so today's pretty much the last day. What else? Tomorrow people leave. I'm not leaving until roughly the 21st, 22nd. That's when I'm gonna leave. maybe even the 21st. So I'll be here till like Wednesday or Thursday. Then I'll make my way back to the ATL, Atlanta, Georgia. I'll make my way back. But we are going to Nigeria in August for the Oshun Festival. That's August 2nd to the 11th. August 2nd to the 11th. Please visit Danfo.Africa to learn more. Again, please visit Danfo, DANFO Africa to learn more. If you're interested in joining, we'll love to host you. We'll love to have you on one of our. Why are you thinking? Okay, whatever. Well, yeah. So that's what's going on in August. Then in September, we got Zanzibar and Kenya. November is Ghana, Ivory Coast, and Sierra Leone. So yeah, that's what's going on, y'all. So let's jump into today's topic. France and Kenya got a new deal. How's that affecting the AES?
Is back in Africa, but this time it's trying a different door.
The Africa Forward Summit is happening in Nairobi, co-hosted by President Ruto and his French counterpart, President Emmanuel Macron. Following its withdrawal from the Sahel region, France is seeking to realign its partnerships towards more diversified, economically oriented relationships in regions like East Africa.
Along with 30 African leaders, Macron and Kenyan President William Ruto announced a 23 billion euros investment deal.
President Macron has made it clear that he's looking to build partnerships that will benefit the continent, but at the same time give value to the East and Southern Africa, with Kenya being its gateway to Africa.
Africa and France are equal partners with common objectives. Those were the buzzwords at the summit. However, beneath the summit speeches and photo ops lies a much larger story. France is no longer the dominant power it once was in large parts of Africa. Given these changes, could Macron's charm offensive in Nairobi already be too late? Welcome to the flip side. Rewind to 2013. Jihadist groups are advancing across northern Mali. France intervenes militarily and quickly pushes them back. At the time, Paris was seen by many as a security partner, but the mission expanded into Operation Barkhane, a long-running military campaign across the Sahel involving thousands of French troops. Then came the coups. Mali in 2020, Burkina Faso in 2022, Niger in 2023. Military leaders in those countries cited growing anti-French sentiment, accusing Paris of interference and failing to improve security. President Macron criticized the coup, labeling the leaders illegitimate and raising the perspective of intervention. By the end of 2023, French soldiers had been withdrawn from Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. This marked a significant change after decades of French influence in the region.
Within West Africa in particular, the anti-French sentiment was underpinned with this idea that France was being paternalistic by dealing with sovereign states, that France was not being very responsive to some of the demands that people had on how they wanted to deal with the militancy, and in some instances, allegations of exploitation, which are tied to the colonial legacy. And the lack of acknowledgement, I think, for people is why they felt that they wanted France to leave.
With France forced out, a new player quickly moved in, Russia. Moscow has presented itself as an alternative partner, focusing on regime, security, and offering military support without raising concerns about electoral integrity or human rights. Security services are often exchanged for access to resources, such as gold mines and uranium concessions. Russia also appears to be influential in the information war, using Telegram channels, pro-Kremlin bloggers, and recycled propaganda to shape narratives. One message is that France is France for Paris. With its forward-looking focus, contrasts sharply with recent setback for France in West Africa, where long-standing relationships have all but ceased. Paris calls this a
Guys, can you hear me? Guys, can you hear me? Guys, I'll go ahead and put the link in the chat room. People want to call
strategic
it.
pivot.
Like this positioning.
kind of off because of where I'm at, and I'm breaking. I apologize. Yeah, links in the chat room if you want to call in after the conversation. You can. What actually did Kenya get? Here we go. Let's go over what Kenya actually got. France and Kenya signed landmark agreements worth 170 million euros during Africa Forward Summit. Co-organized by France and Kenya, the summit. Let me start from the beginning. Nairobi, May 15, 2026. On the sidelines of the Africa Forward Summit held in Nairobi on 11th and 12th of May, France, through Agency Française de Development, signed 5 agreements with the government of Kenya, reaffirming their strategic partnership across renewable energy, digital connectivity, water management, and education. The agreements, totaling about 170 million euros, were signed across 2 ceremonies. May 10th at State House, in presence of President Emmanuel Macron and William Ruto, and on 13 May at the National Treasury in the presence of the French Minister Delegate for International Partnerships, HEMS, Eleonore Caro, and the new CEO of AFD, Mr. Christophe Lecourtier, marking a significant step forward in Franco-Kenyan cooperation. Peace. And guys, links in the chat room if you want to add to the convo. Hold on, let me throw this back in the chat. Delegate for International Partnerships, HEMS, Eleanor Caro, and the new CEO of AFD, Mr. Christophe Lecourtier, marking a significant step forward in Franco-Kenyan cooperation. Co-organized by France and Kenya, the summit brought together 30 African heads of state, ministers, and business leaders for 2 days of high-level exchanges, including in the Inspire and Connect Business Forum at the University of Nairobi on May 11th, and a heads of state ministerial session on May 12th at the Kenya International Convention Center. AFD's group participation in the summit carried particular significance and marked the first major engagement of incoming CEO Christophe Lecourtier, who assumed office in Nairobi on May 11th, making the Africa Forward Summit the backdrop to a historic moment for the AFD group. Renewed commitment to clean energy, digital connectivity, and education. On the eve of the AFD formalized with its Kenyan partners 2 declarations of intent at the State House, Nairobi, in the presence of President Emmanuel Macron and William Ruto. The agreements commit to strategic investments in clean energy and digital connectivity, 2 sectors at the heart of Kenya's development agenda and the broader Franco-African cooperation framework. With cumulative AFD financing to Kenya's energy sector exceeding 1 billion euros, the declarations build on a long-standing partnership and signal a renewed ambition to accelerate Kenya's transition to a low-carbon, digitally connected economy. The 2 declarations of intent covers 85 million euros to raise the Masinga Dam with Kengen, one of Kenya's most important clean energy infrastructures, securing electricity supply for millions of Kenyans, around 80 million euros. Jointly funded by AFD, the French Treasury, and the European Union to roll out 3,500 kilometers of fiber optic cables connecting schools, hospitals, and public services across 43 countries. 3 cooperation agreements on energy, water, and education. On May 13th at National Treasury, in the presence of the French Minister Delegate for International Partnerships, HEMS Eleonore Caro, and the French Ambassador to Kenya, Mr. Arnaud Souquet, AFD newly appointed CEO Christophe Lecourtier signed 2 technical cooperation agreements totaling 1.5 million euros, mobilizing French expertise in support of Franco-Kenyan cooperation in energy and water. The first strengthens Kenyan's expertise in dam safety and hydropower management in partnership with French companies ISL and Compagnie Nationale du Rhône. The second improves the water operators in Kisumu and other areas take their expertise. On May 13th, during an event celebrating Franco-Kenyan Academic Cooperation, AFD and the University of Nairobi signed and announced several strategic partnerships further strengthening Nairobi's growing role as regional hub for Franco-African research, innovation, and higher education. These announcements notably included an Africa-France academic partnership on agribusiness with a French consortium led by Agro Paris Tech, and the launch of the Clean and Affordable Reliable Energy (CRE) Industrial Chair in the Engineering and Science Complex Partnership Program that will integrate Kenyan and French companies active in the energy sector to develop curricula, research, and training together, providing increased job opportunities for the Kenyan youth. Taking office here in Nairobi at this historic summit sends a clear message. Africa is at the heart of AFD's ambitions. These agreements reflect our commitment to building a partnership with Kenya that is concrete, long-term, and rooted in the priorities of its people, from clean energy and digital access to water and job opportunities for young people, said Christophe Lecordier, CEO of AFD Group. What we signed this week goes beyond figures and financing. It is a commitment to millions of Kenyans, to the farmer who needs reliable electricity, the student who needs internet access, the patient who needs quality medicines, and the youth who are given access to job opportunities through enhanced university curriculum. AFD is proud and to stand alongside Kenya in making that future possible, said MS Angal Chapuis, AFD County Director for Kenya. Guys, can you still hear me? Can you guys hear me? You know, like I said, the connection is kind of in and out. So, okay, good. You can hear me good. And links in the chat room if you guys want to go ahead and call in. And hello from Senegal. And Senegal. And again, new house rules: no threatening, no cussing at each other. You'll get one warning, and if you violate that warning, you'll just be removed from the panel. That's all. Spotlight on sport programs for inclusion and opportunities in Kenya. On May 11th, on the sidelines of the Africa Forward, Inspire, and Connect Business Forum at the University of Nairobi, AFD organized sports demonstrations in the presence of Presidents Macron and Ruto, bringing together youth beneficiaries, high-level athletes, institutional representatives, and development partners around basketball, athletics, and football. The demonstrations underscored sport as a powerful driver of social cohesion, youth empowerment, and economic opportunity across the African continent. Central to the afternoon was the Basketball Experience Kenya project, co-financed by AFD and the NBA, launched to provide young Kenyans with access to quality basketball coaching and life skills training. The project was showcased through demonstrations led by its coaches, including inclusive activities designed specifically for young people with disabilities, a powerful reminder that sport is a tool for all. Athletics activities were supported by Decathlon, Kipru, the House of Coaches Initiative, and the Tegla Lorupe Peace Foundation, bringing together young athletes and coaches in the spirit of Franco-African cooperation. Football tournaments were organized with local associations Alive and Kicking Football Mas and Gaza Sport and Development Center, in partnership with the Football Kenya Federation, highlighting the role of grassroots sport in building strong communities. All right, that's some of the stuff that went down. Again, hit the like button. Again, please hit that like button. Also, I want to apologize about the technical difficulties with the stream. And guys, I am out of the country. I'm currently in Senegal, and where we're at in St. Louis, Senegal, where the Jazz Festival is. connection is kind of unstable. Forgive me, it's kind of unstable. So yeah. Independence has at least 45% electrification, but places like Kenya, Senegal, South Africa have more than 75%. Yeah, there's definitely no electricity issues in here in Senegal. I don't know why that's not the case in Nigeria. Who oversees to make certain these agreements reach the people? I don't know. That's a good question. Or criticized. I think that's the problem with a lot of these. I think that's the problem. I think that's the problem with a lot of these agreements. You know, the people who are supposed to benefit from them don't. Turn the Legos Tuesday. Back through Thursday. Then I head back to the States on Thursday. The festival was actually not, it was cool. There were so around the festival were cool. So you had there were a lot of fashion, a lot of concerts. Supposed to be another concert tonight. So yeah, it was cool. Always a good time in Senegal. Always a good time in Senegal. Like I said, the car is nice. I love the car. Nigeria and Kenya only singled out when I see what you're saying. Why is Nigeria and Kenya only singled out when 30 plus nations went? Hold on. Man in High Castle, go ahead. If the connection is choppy, I apologize.
It's all right. It's all right. I understand. Yes, Brother Dinus, I have seen this before. This is the carbon tax and carbon emissions. I was aware of this. I had spoke on this issue with Africa probably a couple months ago. Probably went over people's heads. Probably didn't mean nothing. But here we are in the World Economic Forum. They will be overseeing it. They'll be overseeing all that with the Nairobi Commission, Declaration Commission. See, this is a part of the recolonization of Africa. And the man in the high castle has always emphasized, will this be a soft version of colonization? And here we are. It's going to be very silent. See, how I look at it, in the next 30 years, there's going to be a majority of Africa that's going to be enjoyed by the dominant society and those who have money. And the rest of Africa is going to be like District 9. They're going to be locked into some garrison type of situation. It's time to leave.
And guys, if you haven't seen District 9, it's actually a decent, it's actually a pretty good movie. But I think the man in the high castle is being a little too pessimistic.
Okay, perhaps I am.
and doom and gloom when it comes to the future of Africa.
Perhaps I am. But what's your outlook on carbon tax? Do you have like a sense of maybe explaining to your audience maybe what it is in layman's term?
I'm not. What you tell me? What is carbon tax?
It's one of those things. It's like a credit score for these countries, and they have to go through some emissions for all the raw material and stuff that they have, all the resources, all the fuels and energy. It does sound like a scam, but I guess global warming is still a real thing. And there's some type of analytic system that is measuring, just like with clean air pollution, and how they may suggest that India is one of those locations that have the lowest clean air. It's all about measurements and things of that nature. Satellites in the skies are able to do these things. However, what I can say is that who signs off on these things? The African leadership? The people of Africa? Who signs off on these things? People of America, people of the world, people of Africa. Don't you want to know who makes these decisions? Don't you want to know who the men behind the curtain are? Does it not feed on your curiosity? It's time. It's time to go to your city hall. It's time to go to your tribal leaders, your aldermen, your churches, your mosque. How is this sustainable? Your food prices and the cost of living are skyrocketing. The money you get paid, it doesn't add up at the end of the week or the end of the month, especially if you have 1 or 2 children. It's all minimum wage. Just think about it. Are there brothers and sisters who are going to come up here tonight? Because I want to hear some females' energy.
All right, Nigeria first. I'm waiting for your device.
Oh, Nigeria. Well, Nigeria is in a situation where they're going to have to fight the rest of the Sahel. And I believe they can. They're way too formidable. And these other countries have other things going on. These other countries, they don't appear to have the grit. This is opinion, I guess. But Nigerians, they'll be one of those countries in Africa that will survive it all.
Man, why do you speak like that, man? You speak with like a weird cadence, man.
Does it make you uncomfortable, sir?
Nah, man, it sounds
Do you
cool,
like
man.
do you like women like I do, sir?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man.
Then cut it out.
All right, bro.
Boss up.
Yeah, but why you
Don't
so
play that with
pessimistic?
me. You hear that Yankee accent? Don't ever play in your life with me. I'm a full-blood American. You heard?
That's good for you, man. Salute
I'll
to you.
press
Good
that
for you,
button
man.
on you,
And
and then
what
boom,
happened?
you be off the channel.
Okay, that's good. You must be on your pills today, man. But why are you so much so pessimistic about Nigeria, or not even Nigeria, but these deals? While every other nation, such as
I
China,
just spoke
India.
highly on Nigeria.
No. But you're saying that like like when you say about Kenya, though, you was talking about how Kenya, some
Mhm.
type of person behind the strings is pulling the strings, or behind the curtain pulling the strings. But every nation that, like India, Dubai, China, all these people cut deals with these different entities, both in Africa and in the West. So why is it exclusive to Africa that everybody have these long preserved, ultra opinionated issues with when they try to cut deals with different nations? Because even AES is sitting with Germany, AES is sitting with Turkey, China, Russia. So even America. So this idea that is a big problem to cut deals and find ways in which you can coordinate on different sectors like energy, health, housing. It don't make no sense. And we only have this kind of reserve only for black nations, which, as we should, though, we should scrutinize these deals. But I don't see the problem with a deal or even a summit like this, especially if you have your own agenda at hand.
You may have a point, sir. However, the man in the high castle has his own. And the way I see it, I'm in the year 2036. You are in the year 2026, so I've been told. And in my alternate timeline, I have seen what's going on to Africa. I have actually lived through it, but not in Africa. See, what happens is we need the Africans, the man in the high castle needs the Africans to stay in Africa for what's about to happen.
But
We don't need them to be traveling outside. They need to
But
stay right where
did
they
you
are.
watch the summit? What that was one of the points of the summit. The summit was highlighting that if Europe
You take this as a
doesn't
game.
change the terms of trade and deals with Africa, more Africans are going to go to Europe. So it's best that they help Africa by creating new partnerships that's not capitalistic or abusive or exploitative, that they stay in their countries and continue to build. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people even come to these countries. One is that they have excellent advertisement for themselves, but a lot of us, when we come in, we see that a lot of stuff they say is not fully true. But B, it's like they're if you are a warehouse worker somewhere in Jamaica or Haiti, you're working in one of the industrial parks there, and you're a warehouse worker here, you're making like 20 times more for the same work in America versus working back in Jamaica or Haiti or Panama or or Kenya or Nigeria. So certain people just come for the rate of economic currency difference.
Well, sir, it seems like you might have to understand why the man in the high castle needs Africans to stay in Africa. Well, in my alternate timeline, there was a big sneeze that happened in Africa. And this big sneeze became communicable, and it became biological, and it became weaponized. Trust me, I come from a timeline where it's almost like a dystopian future. Water levels are low, desolate. The people where I'm from, they wear suits like Paul Mordib in the movie Doom. Oh yeah. So don't play with me, sir. We need y'all to stay right there on the continent. Don't spread that sneeze anywhere else.
You believe that most Africans, if Africa was able to get the similar rates of exchange in economics, in terms of, okay, I work as a farmer, I work as a warehouse person, I work as a whatever, a construction person, an architectural person, and I'll get paid the similar amounts to America, you think they're not going to stay at home? You really think that?
I could be wrong. You explain, sir. I'm open to whatever you're saying.
Most people are coming due to the shift in exchange. So if you're a security guard in Africa and you're a security guard in America, you're making 20 times more as a security guard in America. So if you're able to increase the rates in terms of like, okay, rather than paying people trying to shortchange, one of the biggest things that America does when it does trade is it asks you to, not just America but the West period, they ask you to devalue your currency. When you devalue your currency off the rip, your dollar, your dollar is devaluated, and when the worker works, he has to work 10 times harder to make $10. You see what I'm saying? So that's one of the premises. So while certain people could come here and be a goddamn a bag boy at or something like that, and he makes $10 an hour in America. You see what I'm saying? So it's if they give African nations, Latin American nations better exchange rates and not make the world ultra centered around currency wise around the West, there will be a fairer exchange rate, and most people will stay in their country and work. It's just common sense. That's why Kenya.
For instance, sir, I'm trying to compliment what you're saying. So, for instance, a 2-liter bottle of Coca-Cola in Kenya and a 2-liter bottle of Coca-Cola in California. A Californian person would have to work less hours, and it would be more affordable than it would for the Kenyan person who would have to work more hours, and it's going to be more expensive. Is that kind of how you're saying it?
No. The cola will also be cheap in those countries. The thing is that you're only making, say $20 a day. You know, in your country, if you have a good rate, certain places, you're making $20 a day. That's considered a decent job. $30 a day, $50 a day, that's a decent job. While in America, you're making $500-$600 a week. Right? So the average person is making maybe $10 a day. That's the common job in Kenya, okay. Right? So that means that they have to work harder to make the $100 while the common person is about the exchange rate. America wants the products that they want for cheap. They want uranium for cheap. That's the issue between France and the AES, was that France basically want a cheap rate for everything that they're exporting out of Africa. They don't want to pay the full price, right? So they want the cheap rate for cocoa. They want the cheap rate for sugar. They want the cheap rate for the T-shirt. That's even what, if you look at what happened in Detroit, let's connect it back to America. Detroit used to make cars and different parts for different cars. Different parts of America used to manufacture different things, but the companies, and one element is racism, because some of these companies relocated into the suburbs of the white America. So that's why you go to certain parts of white America and you find a job that's paying you $20 right? That's one part. And then two, they took those same jobs and they brought them to other areas around the world so they could produce the same T-shirt, the same, who's doing that, man? The same engine, the same whatever at a cheaper rate. You see what I'm saying? So their goal of the corporate and the globalists is to create a global market and get everything for cheap for the West. So the West is majority white, right? The West is majority England, whatever. Say what they could say, whatever they want. The vast majority of the population is white. The vast majority of immigration is the whiter places. Even if you look at some of the Latinos that's coming in, the vast majority of the. So I met a couple of Colombians. I met a couple, Cubans, whatever. Some of them are white. The vast majority of immigration is white. FBA is teaching you to focus on foreign blacks, but the reality is that most of the economics and the advantages of trade is centered around the West.
Are you an FBA by lineage?
No, dude, I'm a Haitian American, bro, from Brooklyn, New York, bro.
Okay. So when it comes down to these immigration policies, where they're bringing over the gringo ones that you're speaking on, the Blanco ones, the ones who are white in their countries, but they come over to Africa, the Hades, wherever. Y'all worship these people, right or wrong?
No, we do not, dude. Most of us live in black enclaves, go to Haitian or Jamaican or Nigerian or Caribbean kind of churches. Some of us live not too far from African Americans on average in DC, in Philadelphia, in New York, and name the city, Georgia, Houston. Even if they live in a little enclave, the enclave is usually not that far from African Americans. Some of us go to HBCUs. Majority of us work in the Black community, servicing the Black community. That's an FBA bullshit lie. But the reality is that the West, because you like, let's be real, like the Connecticut, come on, the West is making money. Hands not the common person. Even the common person, they get some of the, the effect of it, but the vast majority of the money stays in the hands of the elites, and they want cheaper rates. They want everything for a cheaper rate. That way, they maximize profit.
Bro, you're knowledgeable. However, I gotta say something to the audience. Hit the like button, share, subscribe. You're very knowledgeable for being a tether. How did you learn this Yankee accent that you acquired?
Hey, guys, listen, we're not.
Did you study Disney movies? Did you study
Hold
Disney
on one
movies,
second.
sir?
Hold on. We're not doing this today. No tether word, no name calling. You've been warned. If you do it again, you're gonna be removed from the panel.
Okay,
We're not doing it today.
But I'll answer him. That's one of the FBA myths, is that most of us do not assimilate. The reality is most of us do assimilate. This is why you can hear it in my goddamn accent. So that's another FBA myth. The same with the immigration issue. Oh, well, the blacks, vast majority of Black people go back and forth to their nations. Vast majority of Black people, like the Haitians, Jamaicans, they send money back to their nation. There's a desire to build a better, a house back in Senegal.
Pierre. You were that 14-year-old who was still stuck in the 5th grade. I know you.
Absolutely. And you pop an Adderall. You pop an Adderall, 10 Adderall.
You were one of the bright ones, but they held you back because you didn't speak English well.
Yeah, but I speak English just as good as you, brother. So at the end of the day, that means
beginning, sir, you had to. We put you on game. We put you on game. We got you watching and learning how to speak like a proud American a little bit. But you're not.
So that's called assimilation. That's called assimilation.
You've been deceptive. Sir. When are you going back home, sir? When you going back home, sir?
Absolutely. Whenever I can, man. Whenever I can. Man.
Yeah, you go back home, sir.
So hold on, let me ask you a question. So when you telling me when we all go back home, what's going to happen?
We'll be fine without you.
No, but I'm talking about in terms of those nations. One of the biggest myths also told is that when we come here, that doesn't benefit.
You probably can fix up your homeland. We want the best for you.
Yeah, but that connects right back to my original point.
We're not out here wishing you wrong.
No, but it connects back to my original point.
You're abandoning your grandma. You're abandoning your children. You're abandoning your aunties. They out there deployable in District 9 with bleached faces. They bleach their skin.
Man. I'm not bleached nothing. My lady dark skin, my kids brown skin. We all I don't bleach shit, bro.
You got hillbillies. You got hillbillies on canoes trying to set up an overtake of your island of Haiti. They're gonna take that. They've been planning these things.
You think the masses of people is going to allow the Haitian masses?
Yes, because they hypnotize. They love it.
You know what happened?
They love it. They dream about having light-skinned children.
No. What happened? What happened when they assassinated
fish eyes and light-skinned children?
Yeah. But what happened? What happened when they assassinated?
Holy mud cookies! Speak up, sir. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I said what? In your mouth, sir.
Can you hear me?
Holy mud cookies. You're breaking up.
Oh, you can't hear me?
I hear you, sir. Take the dirt out your mouth, sir.
So again, you're trying to talk slick, but you like again, if you understand the premise, a lot of when we come to these nations, it actually somewhat benefit our nation. Why? Because these countries are narratives around those countries and how they're paying those countries. As you saw with the AES. These people are trying to pay these countries pennies for the resources that they're extracting, right? So that's beneficial to the West. So when you have people like St. James that come here, he makes money, he sends money back. Not only that, he speaks up for the issues of his nation. More people are aware of what's going on, and it forces them to have a better rate of exchange.
Go ahead. President P, Prince P, man, is that you?
Yeah, that's me, bro. What's happening? What's up, Bang? What's up, my boy?
Man, why you trying to
Ahmed.
explain yourself? Man,
No,
why
I'm
you trying
not.
to explain
It's not just for
yourself?
him. It's
Come
there's people like him in the audience.
No, Prince P, stop it, man. Come on, why you trying to explain yourself, man? I do not explain myself to FBA no more, man. For what? FBA made a bunch of noise for Donald Trump. FBA need to worry about what Donald Trump is going to do for them. Donald Trump has not done nothing for FBA, man. I got time for people to come up here when we talk about AES, right? Bringing up FBAs. Who the hell is FBAs? Come on, man, we talk about AES. We talk about nations, man.
More powerful. We're more powerful than AES. We're more powerful than AES. No one
Y'all
knows
losing
that.
rights, man. Y'all losing rights here, man.
Prince P, man. Let's
Go
get
ahead,
to the
bro.
topic, man. I'm not about here talking about fucking my bad some FBAs, man. That we on TikTok.
Yeah, let's stick on topic. Let's stick about Africa.
With some immature people, just blah 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 and stuff like that. Go to Pennsylvania Avenue and then
You're little children, sir. You're children still.
Yeah, so yeah,
You're children. Your nations are barely 40 years old, sir. You're little children.
The man in the high castle. You could kiss America behind, but you would never be.
I am America, sir. I am America.
All that you want, man.
I am America, sir.
Ask him how long you had the full rights of America, bro. 60 years, just like us.
Ask him nothing.
I am America, sir.
1960s, bro. Let Bank speak. Let Bank speak.
I am America, sir, and I'm proud of it.
Do nothing, man.
Proud Americans hit one on the live chat.
You got your rights around 1960.
You are
1960, you got your rights. Let Bank speak. Let Bank speak.
You are part American.
Don't you dare talk about my president ever again in your life.
Bro, you just got full rights and full citizenship in 1960, bro. Let Bank speak. Let Bank speak.
But what I want is, I want your face to be on the dollar.
Rights I fought for, rights my ancestors fought for. You flee.
I want your face to be on the dollar. I want your people face to be on the dollar.
How come you in my country? Get out my damn land, sir.
It's your country.
Get out my country.
It's your country.
Bang. They only see other blacks. There's Latinos here. There's a bunch of whites here.
I will
there's a bunch of Chinese
come back
here.
up
There's a bunch of Indians.
and let y'all know. Get out our country.
I do not respect FBAs. I do not respect FBAs, man. Because
I
don't respect you either. You fled your country, sir.
You fled the South, man. You fled the South. We all fleers.
I would not fathom leaving my country. Leaving my people behind. Leaving the memories.
You fled the South, brother.
Y'all just abandon yourself.
Just like I always said.
Just like you. We got that in common. We got that in common with you, bro.
You can't.
You just abandon your homeland. You just
abandoned the South. You abandoned the South, man.
Do nothing about it.
That's so sad.
Exactly, man. Come on, man.
You abandoned the South, bro.
This dude come up.
You'll flee just
so
like
sad. You just left your own homeland.
Yeah, you'll flee just like us, bro. You fled the South.
I've never fled. My people's built. My people's built, sir. We built differently.
That's to Chicago. Hopped on that Greyhound.
You people flee.
Just like
you flee. Y'all flee. Y'all sell your kidneys just to flee.
The title says,
y'all sell your kidney just to flee.
Means for the AES. And never
thank you, Joe Biden.
Foundation.
Thank you, Biden. Say thank you, Biden. But time's up.
Americans.
Trump is here.
Indigenous.
God bless ICE. ICE is doing God's work. Delineation is holy. Delineation has been ordained by the Most High.
When it's about African topic, for him to
thank you, sir.
Act like he's doing something in America.
God bless America, sir.
Act like his leader, Tariq, is doing something. Have you ever seen Tariq
Saint Tariq? Saint Tariq has been anointed, sir.
When is Tariq going to do a summit? Bang! Ask him when is Tariq going to do a summit on the behalf of the Black America?
How come you won't have a summit in your own homeland?
Yeah. When is your master going to do a Master Tariq going to do a summit for
Saint
Black America?
Saint Tariq is a
your master collecting cash on your dumb ass every day.
One second.
Hey,
one second, please. 1 second.
I know you're upset about FBA's momentum. We've always been like this, sir.
High Castle. Let me say something real quick, right? And then I want you to respond to me, right? Okay.
For 99 cents a day,
guys,
you
so
can feed
hold on,
5 African children.
Hold on, guys. Listen, so I'm having connection issues. Yeah, we gotta keep it civil. Okay, we gotta keep it civil. Again, I'm having connection issues, so I can't really
No, you're
moderate
clear.
like I
You're clear
want to.
now. You're clear. You're clear.
Well, I'm clear now, but I keep going in and out. So I just
Okay,
want to
okay.
let you guys know. Let's keep it civil. All right, so let's get up the EA. Yeah, let's stop that.
Thank you, sir.
This dude always come in when there's an African topic and bring his Tariq talking points.
You brought him up, sir.
Every time
You
come
brought
up,
him
it
up.
is an African topic.
You want to make this
ain't
a
African.
2 versus
you
1.
indigenous to America.
You want to make this a
You
2v1.
are indigenous to America. Why you worry about Africans topic then?
Listen,
You
we
are
can make this a
indigenous to America.
9v1, and I'm still gonna flame you
are
on.
indigenous to America. You are indigenous to America, man.
I'm indigenous to the United
You
States of
indigenous to
America.
Of course,
Get that right.
Yes.
Yo,
You see that? You see that? You see that
what's your
flag?
opinion on the
You
topic,
see
man?
that? You see that beautiful flag?
Yeah.
That red, white, and blue.
Hold on. We got to get back on topic. All right, we're not.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
They've been jealous of us.
What's your
They're
opinion on the
jealous of
topic?
you, Mr. Dynus.
Okay. Let me my opinion on Kenya.
They jealous that you listen to real music, jazz music. You're out there living
Bro,
your best
relax,
life.
man.
Bro, man.
You gotta get back. Pop another pill, bro. You
Man,
speaking nonsense. Pop a
stop.
pill, bro.
Get topic.
Yeah. Let me say this with the alliance with with Kenya and stuff like that, right? Okay, let it be, right? France now is a new partner of Kenya, right? Okay, but let's look at the biggest economy transform in Kenya, right? You look at the train system, you look at the highways, you look at the bridges, right? You look at the stadiums as well, right? Who built it the last 10 years now? It was built by China. So the biggest advantage of the Kenyan economy is because of the infrastructures. When it comes to airport as well, right? Bridges, roads, stadiums as well. So who built all these things? It was China. So Kenyans that are beating their chest of the economy, how is it better than other African countries and African nations? And then now you want to attach yourself to France. I mean, let it be. Let it be, because the last time I remember, right, the West does not build infrastructures no more. The West does not build infrastructure.
Man, France has been more Pan-African than the most African countries.
Oh my God!
I can name several people who. No, seven of your. I can name at least 7 of your African scholars.
We're not doing that. Go ahead, and then I gotta pass the mic to Charles.
Okay, yeah. So yes, at the end of the day, to me, go ahead. Because to me, at the end of the day, they could call it a partnership and a win-win. It's funny how France president was using partnership and a win-win. Who was using that quote, that phrase 10 or 15 years ago? It was the Chinese people. So the Chinese people 10 years ago was using that same phrase, win-win partnership. Now you have the West in Africa. They got kicked out in West Africa, and they're coming to East Africa looking for resource. And then now they're using the same words and using the same phrase to describe their partnership now. It's a win-win. Can you imagine that? And then people still want to defend that. I mean, let it be, man, because, some Kenyans, man, they have some type of love for white people. Because we do have some Africans in West Africa that have the same thing, because...
How did it get like that, sir?
Oh my God! Let me be quiet.
I'm just asking a question. How do you think that got like that?
I'm done, man. I'm
Can
done. It's not an FBA topic, man.
Can I ask?
FBA topic, man.
All right. I'm passing the mic. Go ahead, Taraka. I'll meet you, Taraka.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
What's up, bro? How you doing? What?
All right, bang. I don't know why you keep arguing this. I'm realizing that it don't make no sense to argue anymore. I swear. First of all, we live all of the Caribbean, all of South America, North America. It's called the Americas. That's what it's called. We are part of the Americas. All right, and that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Well, that's what the U.S. said. We are part of the Americas.
Where does that say that? Show it to me. He
Oh
said that's
my
what the
God.
U.S. says.
It's
Let
called
the
the
man
map. Go
speak,
get a
man. Stop
map,
We
trying
are
to
man.
part.
interrupt, man.
Hey,
Man.
guys, hold on, guys. One second. Man, Hawkeye, stop interrupting.
Geography, Dynast, or South America, the Caribbean, North America, part of the Americas. Is that what's in the book? On Dynast? Officially, is that what it is? That part of the books?
I still
Or
think the USA is still its own separate sovereign country.
no,
Thank
I'm
I
you,
would
not
sir.
saying that
think
that's a sovereign.
it
Of
is.
course,
It is.
I'm
But,
just saying the entire area is called the Americas, right?
Wrong.
The U.S. have Caribbean islands, right? The U.S. Virgin Islands, those that's America. Puerto Rico, that's America, but it's also Caribbean. But in general, if you could Google it right now. This is we live in the Americas.
Mr. Dynast,
But that's that part.
have you ever heard the concept of the jurisdiction and the ethnic called West Indies and West Indian? All right. So do you think that people from Puerto Rico are West Indian because they're in the Caribbean?
They still in the, who gave us that name?
The West Indian thing is all an insurance company that insured is a British insurance company.
Okay, good. That's
right.
But
does
you're
that
making my point.
So
but you're making my point.
How does everybody become?
You are
America?
making my point.
How does everybody become America now?
You hear what I said?
This nonsense. It's
I
about
didn't say we are Americans. We say we're part of the Americans.
You don't. But these other countries don't belong as sovereign America. They're not American. They're not part of the United States. These are geographical land masses of the New World.
We didn't put it together, bro. We're not from here. We're not from the Caribbean.
Tahaka, inform him that Rubio is also very present in the Caribbean and the Latin America.
Oh man, can we?
So if you understand geopolitics, America is very engaged in the rest of America.
Let's stick to the topic, man. Let's stick to the topic.
Can I ask you a question,
Tahaka?
Let's get back
to this guy energy.
Can I ask Tahaka a question and bang?
Yeah.
So because I see you guys are singling out Nigeria, singling out Kenya. If AES was to have a conference with France, would your perception of such a summit be different? Because what I notice is that you guys want to make it seem that Kenya is a sellout, Nigeria is a sellout for having such a summit and talks to reshape the trade deal. But if AES was to do the same type summit, what would be your opinion?
Here's a problem I have. Here's a problem I have with that. Right, France has been in Africa for decades and decades. They had partnership with all these countries. This is not new. They had partnership with all these countries. We know where they stand. Period. We know where they stand. Right? So it's not like this is something new, right? It might be new down in Kenya, right? But France had partnership with all these countries. They were based in all these countries. Their citizens live in these countries, right? So it's not about that. The AES decide together to move on from France. Stop forcing your way in there. France is nothing without Africa. Their past president said that, right? Their past president said that. Right. So, I mean, these people are so beyond wicked, right? Because if say I'm France, right? What I'm going to do is all these countries that I'm in, right? I'm going to make sure they have a sustainable society, right? I'm still going to win. You see what I'm saying? I'm still going to get the resources and stuff like that. I'm still going to get it, right? But these people are starving these people out of everything, of jobs, of education, resources, everything. They starving them out. They don't even let them get a little crumble. No. Oh, how much your uranium from Niger? How much you want? I tell you what. Give me $2 a pound for it, right? Although it's $200 you're supposed to give, right? So they don't even say, okay, give me 50 and you take 50, right? It's they
Yeah, but
take 90
my brother.
and you get 10. That's it. You see what I'm saying?
But my brother, why are people still like questioning the West motive and intent? It's still in front of
because it
us.
didn't
I don't know
change.
why. What like come on, man. Come on.
Right?
I mean,
The moment it did not, it's just, it remained the same, bang. It remained the same.
Yes.
It didn't change. They show no remorse. They show no remorse. They show no sense of change.
That's what the
Nothing.
West
It's the
is.
same thing over and over and over again without no change. So let these people have make their own damn change. Let the AES make their change.
France at one time conquered the whole world,
You see?
basically.
Like the one thing,
But we're not talking about that, man.
The one thing I gotta explain, right, to some of my brothers that live in the Caribbean, right? In the continent of Africa is different in the sense that it's much bigger land-wise and population-wise and resource-wise. So when you look at African countries, you can't have the mindset as like Caribbean countries, because most Caribbean countries are far in the oceans, surrounded by water. They don't have no neighbor countries as well. So please, I don't want some of us to think like the how the Caribbean countries are formed, because the Caribbean countries are mostly weak because of it's a small island and it's like right there in the middle of the ocean. Africa, it's not like that. So we're not gonna try to like go toward it as if like it's like Caribbean countries. If we did, then the black race is effed up forever. It's effed up forever. So people need to really think about it. I mean, just like how
No, you're saying the race. It's just we're talking about specific areas.
That's my guy.
Don't refer to him. Stick to the subject, bang. Stick to what you're saying.
Yeah, you see how like for instance, look, just how you mentioned, right? If Niger had if France was in Niger for what 50 years, right? They had uranium, right? And then France stayed on theirs, right? They have nuclear reactor all over in their country. Sell energy to their neighbors too in Europe, right? But they did not once say, you know what, guys, by the heart of us, right? Let's just build one nuclear reactor for the people of Niger. They did not at all.
That's what I'm saying. They did nothing.
50 years. That's pure evil.
Yep,
you cannot
pure
come
evil.
and tell me that's
Same
not
thing I
pure
said.
Evil.
Why can't they build their own nuclear reactor?
On top of presidents on top of presidents in France, right? They replaced it, but the agenda was still the same thing. So the whole thing is built on pure evil. So I'm not gonna come up here and try to make the French government look like they saint or look like they have some good art. For over 50 years with different presidents, they could not say, you know what, guys, let's just build one nuclear reactor when 90% of that country was in darkness. Can you imagine that?
Mm-hmm.
So how am I gonna come up here and try to make, what if? That's not what if. The evidence is there, man. Prince P, I don't know what type of guy you are, but please, man, stop trying to come up and tell us what if.
No, there's no work with the West again.
Nigeria and Kenya are on good
right in
terms.
front of you, man.
No. My thing is that France usually it plays the divide and conquer.
You do that too much. No, you do that too much.
There's no, they're evil, bro. It's simple as that. Forget about them.
A better advantage to take
50 years. 50 years. You could not build one nuclear reactor.
Kadolo didn't speak yet, so let him speak.
Let me put it like this.
What's up, Ola?
What up, bro? What the French did to Haiti, is similar to French also did in Africa. So you have to understand the uranium they're mining in Niger is polluting a lot of children in Niger. Because some of these lands are tribal lands. and they don't care. And if you see a Togo man, you'll be shocked the way he behaves. He almost behave like a Frenchman. So French told them, France is the fatherland. You are just living in something else. So France going to Kenya to play games. I think Kenyans I understand they like Europeans a lot, but Kenyans will play them. Kenyans will play them a lot. They look at what did they build their own reactor? What is Iran trying to build? America is trying to destroy them for. Let me say reactor. Iran want to build their own reactor, but America is attacking them. Say no, because once you have that nuclear bomb, nobody will bold enough to come to meet you anymore. Nobody. Once you have a nuclear bomb. When South Africa was having a nuclear bomb, they were all scared. When India built a nuclear bomb, America,
No.
low.
No, Cadillo, I'm talking about nuclear reactor power plants.
Nuclear
I'm
reactor.
talking about, yes, but they're scared if you have that. They're scared.
No.
Look.
That's not scared.
If you build that,
that is designed on purpose. Because majority countries in Europe.
Hold on. Let me finish up, Bang.
Let me tell you the truth. If you have the technology of that nuclear reactor, it's simple for you to also have a nuclear bomb. You understand? So this world is changing, and Africa might be just waking up. You saw some of these politicians have money somewhere, they hide it somewhere. That's why they behave like that. The guy from America, my guy, why is it that you always go after, other Africans and Caribbeans? I swear to God, if not Caribbean people, you Black Americans will not even be free. Go and check your history. Who free you people really?
Sir,
no, because
we should not have to do this right now.
Hold on.
We're the only people. We have more value than all of Africa.
You people are weak.
We're a $7 trillion people here.
Come on, that's nonsense. The Caribbean people came to free. The Caribbean blood. The Caribbean blood. The Caribbean, especially Jamaica. The Caribbean blood. Jamaica. They came to free your ass.
Let's talk about Macron.
You people are weak. You people are weak. That's why people. We are the Caribbean never ask you people to separate. You people want to separate. They was okay. Don't separate, please. They're not even concerned about it. Go and check your history.
Talk about Macron.
All those people that came to United States, all those people that came to United States, they're the ones that free you people, free your ass.
Coming.
You know, you people beg for hamburger. You people beg. Look, go and check. Go and check your history. All the names who are even those basketball players, people talk about basketball players, majority of them are Caribbeans. You know, if you take Caribbean out of
coming back for y'all.
If you take Caribbean out of the society, 21%, almost about 30% to 21% are the percentage of people with Caribbean blood. Take them out. I see you people with the 2%.
Cadell, it's funny. The sports channel did something on that before. Like a couple weeks ago, they were talking about how much Caribbean. I myself didn't know there was that many mixed Caribbean or Caribbean descendants in the NBA and all that.
A lot.
Yes, I swear. I play basketball. I didn't know.
Of course.
How come your homelands are in shambles, sir?
But Cadell, Manor High Cats don't represent African Americans. I'm telling you, I grew up with them.
No, he doesn't.
They don't represent. He don't represent African Americans. I grew up with African Americans.
I'm FBA, sir. I don't know about no African. I have no African in my family, sir.
Macron real quick, right?
You have no. Okay, you say you have no.
That's excellent. That's excellent.
I think this guy really needs.
Let me ask
I don't know. You need some medical checkup, bro. I don't know. I give up.
So you saying my family members are lying? That's what you're trying to say?
You are African 100%, dude.
I'm American, sir. I'm American.
You 100% American. 100%. You've been here.
Yes. Just like you 100% human being, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Let me come to Macron real quick, right? You know how sometimes, right, when you play sports, right, you've been good at it, right? Dominated, for a couple years, for years upon years, right? And then you in like your early 30s, right, or whatever it is, right? And then you transfer to a new team, right? You thinking you still gonna be the same dog that you were, years upon, right? Because you got the numbers, right? You could back everything up. You got the championship, right? But then you transfer to another team thinking that, oh, you were the same player. The season come by, and then you start slowing down. The second season coming back, and then you start slowing down, right? And then you thinking about retiring. To me, this is what I think about the French Empire or the French organization, the French mindset about Africa, right? Okay, now you're switching from West Africa all the way to East Africa. You thinking, oh, you're gonna have the same privilege thing that you had before with other countries in West Africa, right? But let's just see how things going about it, right? Because I know for sure the Africans that are in the East, right, are very aware of what's going on. They're not gonna allow their government to be subjugated the way West Africa was under Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. It's not gonna happen. Whatever fanciness they're gonna put it, especially because when they say France, it's the entire Europeans. Let's be honest with ourselves, right? The entire European Union. That so-called 40 or 27 billion amount he called out, it's coming from the European Union. People have to understand that the companies as well coming from the European Union as well. You understand me, right? So to me, they thinking, oh, this gonna be, what it was in West Africa. So they will come into East Africa. It's not gonna happen. It's the same thing with somebody that used to be real good in sports when they get into the late 30s and then they transfer to another team, thinking that they're gonna be real solid the way they used to be. But at the end of the day, numbers gonna slow down. Your body gonna slow down. Facts is gonna slow down because everybody nowadays, the common sense people, you see these people. You know what I'm saying? For what they've been to us. So I think it's going to backfire them eventually. It's definitely going to backfire them. Their economy will never be the same no more. I don't care what nobody says. I do not care what nobody says. Their economy will never be the same no more the way it used to be. Because look at the population. They are dying. And also the way the economy used to be because of energy. For you to sustain your economy in a real good way, you need cheap energy. Look at Germany. I mean, look at France now. France is going around looking for energy, like they, like they crackhead. So to me, it's gonna backfire in their faces. Let's just wait and see a couple more months. You're gonna see. But me, it's not gonna happen the way they think it's gonna happen. They're gonna present it and make it look like, oh, this and that. But at the end of the day, you're gonna see what's gonna happen. And I think the East Africans are smart enough and aware enough not to get into that trap. France is desperate. When you are a desperate individual, you are vulnerable. When you are vulnerable, you cannot make a choices that, that's going to make more sense. So I think the European Union is going to crash eventually. It will. Just look at how they're going up there within the energy, market, because they don't have energy. One of the worst thing about them is energy. Yeah, go ahead.
Like I said, you're making it seem like I'm not saying something different. I'm just saying that salute to Dynas for having a good conversation and a good topic here. God bless him.
Yeah.
But
enjoy
support,
enjoy the best jollof rice in Africa, man.
Yeah, here in Senegal, they got some of the best.
I gotta be fair, man. Senegal makes the best jollof rice.
I love the artwork, the Tinga artwork out there in Senegal.
No, man. Man in the high castle. You don't love nothing about Africa, man.
I just told you what I know about Senegal. They have this artwork called Tinga. Tinga.
Because to you, everything in America is superior.
They have some very good artwork where they use sand. And they make art out of it. It's very beautiful.
Let me trigger this guy, man.
So I'm speaking on what I know as well.
Yes, thank you.
Right. Don't ever tell me as an American what to do.
This guy.
You're subservient to me, so
go get your medicine.
You hear the command of my voice, sir? I ain't tripping on you.
I apologize, man. Go ahead, man.
But my point is simply that you're right, because even America, the same thing goes for America. America is the smartest thing to do for them is to cut better in deals and recognize they're not the same power as they used to be. This guy, man in the high castle, doesn't recognize that. And even Trump himself, he went to China, he cut deals. I believe you're correct when you're talking about France and the EU, and many of them understand that. And I don't like how Ruto didn't add or contact the AES and add them to the summit and have them speak too, because they have one of the major issues.
They wouldn't have come. They wouldn't have come.
Don't you ever say that, man?
They wouldn't have come.
Don't you ever say that? No.
I'm gonna let you Africans fight and kill each other.
No, Prince P. See, this is what this is your problem, man. You think the world is just some easy, nice world. No. Don't you ever say that. Why in the blue hell AES is gonna send some type of representative up there? Are you kidding me?
Well, for they can voice their opinion.
Do you know what's going on in Mali right now? Do you know? Why? That makes no goddamn sense.
It does make sense because go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
He don't know business, sir. He don't know how business works. That's crazy.
Why would the AES send a representative with the condition of the country? What's going on right now in
for
Mali?
Business, sir?
It is 100% connected to France. Right now, in the France television, they're coming out publicly saying we support these people. We gave them these things. Why would send a representative over there?
They can voice that at that forum in the summit.
No, they don't have to voice it. They don't have to voice it there. They grew up with them. They grew up with them.
Are you showing up? Come on, man.
Principe, he's very diplomatic. You're very diplomatic, and I see where you're coming from. Because but the world is not like that, bro. Unfortunately.
Yeah, but that's not diplomatic, though. That is not diplomatic, though.
I said he is.
Let me say this.
No, he's diplomatic. No, he's diplomatic. He's looking at fairness, but the world is not like that.
No, not just fairness. Let me say this real quick.
That is a weakness. That is a weakness.
The forum is called. Let me say this real quick. The forum is called Africa Forward, right? One of the reasons why they even had the forum, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I seen like maybe an hour.
Who gives a hell? Who gives a blue hell if they call it Africa Forward?
Why are you crashing us, sir?
Let me finish my point. Who
gives a blue hell if they call it Africa Forward?
No.
What is that? The same other efforts.
The thing is the same thing that keep happening over and over. That's what Bang is trying to say.
No, I agree with you.
It's the same thing over and over again. No change.
As if they're good.
They're not. Nobody saying they're good. No, I'm saying you have to voice your opinion as a block.
They won't make a deal.
As a block.
Principle, you got to understand. They won't make a deal. They won't unless they forced to. They won't make a deal. That's what Bang is trying to tell you. They won't. They will do nothing to make a deal. Nothing. That's not the agenda.
William Ruto gave them everything.
You see?
William Ruto gave them everything. They requested everything. Why do you think the summit was hosted over there? Come on, man.
No, but I hear what you're saying. But my thing is simply this, man. AES has a position.
You have a daughter, right? Did you say?
I got sons and daughters, man. I got sons and daughters. Yes.
Okay. Let's just say. Okay, let's just visualize it. Same age group, right? If I'm a cheater, right? I sleep with everybody. Every type of female I see, I can't control myself, right? And then I've been divorced 7 times. Would you allow me to date your daughter?
Oh no.
Exactly. My history is my history. I cannot change it. That's what I'm telling you. It don't matter who's the president of France. It is the same agenda.
Same agenda. All of Europe, same agenda.
Until you destroy them. We are not in that position yet. But at least we have these 3 countries that are doing it.
How far away are y'all from that?
Come together.
Bang AES.
Trying to act like, would you allow me to date your daughter? You clearly said
no. I said no, hell no. But I'm saying the AES still talks with Germany. They talk with the EU. They talk with Russia. They talk with Turkey. They talk with America. Last year, the Prime Minister of Mali was in Washington D.C. Right. So the idea that they don't talk with the West.
They do talk with the West. That's not what Bang is saying. They do talk with the West.
That's not the same thing. When you have a summit like that, right? Africa moving forward, right? If you have a representative in it, it creates some type of question. Where's your agenda? Are your agenda literally what you said it was? Or now are you trying to
thank you for the super chat?
France to love you back.
I mean,
no.
Principal, you saw what Macron did last week? that Kenya is protesting right now? You saw what he did?
No, there was protesting while he was there. There was
Right. So but you saw what he
did.
did though. You saw what he did.
When he snatched the mic?
He scolded Africans like they're little children.
Yeah. I didn't like that. I didn't like that.
Okay, well, exactly. Well, that's bang point.
But then at the same time, you want to come up here and tell us, because the summit is called African Forward.
No, you didn't let me finish my point. But go ahead. No, I'm trying to say that because it's called African Forward, it doesn't make sense to have such a forum without one of the key nations that's affected by the policies of France, such as the AES. Because the AES is this modern day Haiti. And there's a modern day Zimbabwe.
No, not everybody went. Don't forget, Tanzania and Uganda didn't go. Tanzania and Uganda did not go.
You're right. But
and they're right next door.
Guinea went. All these are countries.
What you have to understand is this, right? What you got to understand is this, right? The AES agenda is totally opposite from them. You go east and I'm going west. So it doesn't make no.
Hold, bang. That's not true. The AES is saying that just like America, just like China, just like the EU deals with Russia, China, and whoever the hell they want to, Turkey, they want the sovereignty too. They're not anti-West. That's why they still speak with the West.
You missing it. You twisting things now. You twisting things. Okay. Now. Listen, right? Okay. If the French organization, right, the French government, right, wanted to be looked at differently, right, they would have sent somebody. They would have sent a representative to like one of these countries, right, and say, look, man, our president sent us over here. We trying to be a different, organization now. We respect you guys now. There's a gold mine that we trying to get, right? Let's come together. You guys are gonna get 35%, right? And then are we gonna get the rest, right? Okay, the AES will consider it, and then most likely they're gonna come back and go back and forth, right? With conversation until they probably landed at 45 or 35, right? That's the deal, right? And then that gold mine, taken by the French government or some French company, right? You understand me, right? That's how you go about it. And then little by little, you build the relationship up. Then if you have a summit that's called Africa Moving Forward, then the AES can send a representative over there. Because now what you're doing is now you say, okay, well, since we used to take 90% of your gold or whatever it is, right? Now look what we have done. We have a partnership over there. The French company is taking about, let's just say 60% or like 55%, and then the Malian government now is taking about 35 or 40%, right? You understand me, right? So other nations will say, oh wow, you understand me, right? So that's how you go about it respectfully. If you still want these countries to have a partnership with you, France does not. What France wants supremacy in your resource. Up to this day, it is the same agenda.
That's right.
It is the same agenda. What's wrong with you, man?
Again, I agree. Hold on, babe.
That's how you go about it, diplomatic-wise. That's how you go about it. You send a representative. You said, look,
but we don't talk
like this.
But we don't talk. I make a talk, yeah.
Yeah. These companies want access to this resource, right? Okay. They would have said, okay, well, this is the deal. If France was serious, right, Niger would have still kept them there. They would have had, okay, well, we're going to privatize, state-own this, but you guys are going to take 60% of the uranium. But instead, they didn't want to do it. They want to fight Niger for them to have it as if it's theirs, as that uranium belongs to them, as if that is Paris. That's where this war
does belong to them.
This war does not come there because of Niger does not want to work with France. No, it's just because the mindset of France.
No, I'm not.
Your mindset.
Go ahead, brother.
All right, let Africa talk now. He ain't talking.
What's up, Al? My fool.
Greetings, my brothers. Yeah. How things are going. You know what? It was actually quite nice to hear guys, debating and having a conversation without throwing insults. It's quite respectful, and also it's good to hear people respect other people's opinion, because that's what we're here for. We're trying to make the continent better and raise our people's future. Absolutely amazing. It's nice to hear that. Look, the reality of the situation that we find ourselves in, and our leaders in Africa, you got to understand where they're coming from. Some of them, anyway, they find themselves in a very difficult situation You know, they're stuck in the middle of a hard place, in the rock and a hard place. You know, they got the West, who is after their interest, the East after their interest, you know, and those dusty sound crackers, as many of the high castle will say, after their
Yes,
interest
sir.
also. See? So now we find ourselves in a situation that we never it was never easy. It's never easy because back in the days, these people used to be invaders of all sections, like by force. They came in on a different level, you know, forcefully, use different kind of tactics, you know, capture our people, enslave them, take lands, use tribe against one another, take lands, you know, exploit the people. But now they're changing their tactics and they're looking at what works the best for them. So it's about time our leaders also start looking at what is best for them in this age of so-called globalism. Because globalism is here to stay. It's not going to go away. Multinational corporations control all the governments in the world. We know that. We live in the West. We see exactly what happened, regardless of what the people in America think or want, or in Europe think or want. It doesn't work. They don't listen to them. Their leaders listen to the corporations. These corporations have run away with the money, you know, because capitalism reigns. And that's exactly what's happening here today. Um, our leaders in the continent, for once in their entire life, need to go back to the history and look at themselves and say, look, we've been played years after years. You know, we've been oppressed, we've been manipulated. You know, it's about time they draw the line and say, look, that's it now, it's over. We cannot be taken for granted anymore. You know, we have to use our leverage for what works for us and our people. Because they can. They can use the leverage. Africa does not have the biggest military in the world. They don't have any of that, and you know, the destructive thing that can cause anarchy in the world. We all know what it is. We don't have that because that's not in our nature. We have things in the land, in the nature of Africans, and in the lands that's there. You know, we know we have natural resources. That's actually the nature of Africa. The natural resources, the nature of Africa and Africans in the land of Africa. God blessed us as people, bless our lands, for our mind have been corrupted. We need to basically look at deep inside ourselves and find the inner strength and learn from where our ancestors failed and move on from there. And this is the message from the leaders, for the leaders, especially those leaders that went to Kenya, you know, to confront those the face of multinational corporations. Because that's what Macron was. Macron was the face of the multinational corporations. We all know that. He went there to represent them. He went there to represent Europe. It's not just France. He went there to represent America. Because Macron and the French happen to have a big landmass in Africa.
I
So
would
the
like to
reality
add.
is, sorry. So the
No,
reality
no,
is,
no. Go ahead, Keith. Let's continue.
yeah, the reality is, until our leaders come together and start having secret meetings, you know, without behind cameras, have think tanks, have their own secret societies, have their own agenda, which is one, we're going to be in trouble. They need to have that agenda behind it. Because we did in the past, the chiefs in Africa and the kingdoms used to communicate with one another back in the days. This is how kingdoms reign in the continent for centuries. Some of them had problems, they had wars, and they came together without any outside help and they solved it. Some of them lived in peace and they ended up merging and became one. Now, come to Africa. We have three countries in Africa that need to actually come together. Number one is Egypt. Egypt represents the North Africa, the Sahel basically. The AES, they face three options. It's going to be a very hard option. The AES face, they either go with the Northern African brothers, those in the, this is going to be controversial, but this is going to be realistic also. They either stay with the Northern African brothers, like Egypt, those dusty people who send in.
Hold on a second. Which brothers are you talking about? Which brothers?
Let me just finish. No, I'm putting the option down. Okay, they either go with the. Okay, they either go with the three options. Okay, because this is how Africa is going to be. This is the future of Africa. Okay, it's going to be the North, like Egypt, is going to be very relevant in the fact.
You mean Arabs, right? When you said North, you mean Arabs?
Let me. The North does not just represent Arabs. Let me finish there. Okay, they have three options. Okay, Egypt is one. Okay, and when I say Egypt is one, does not just mean it's the only option, but it's one option. They can go with, because at the end of the day, this colorism, they say we're black, we're white, we're brothers, we're this and that for the sake of brotherism. When there's nothing you can add on the table, and you end up work to undermine them, it doesn't work anymore. It's all about interest. If the AES
is not going to join no Arabs, bro.
No,
that's not going to happen.
Okay,
we're not working with Arabs. We're not working with them.
I understand where you're coming from, sir. You're the most level-headed person on here besides myself.
Okay, so thank you. If the AES thinks their interest lies, I'm not saying they should. Okay, if you ask me, that should be the last option there. Okay, let me just put your tempo down for a little bit. That should be the last option. Okay? Yeah, okay. Maybe
they don't want to work with
okay,
black
people.
They don't want to work.
Me and you, we come from this same school of thought. I agree with you, but let me just finish. So, if they have three options, the options are either with those soundcrackers who are destroying them, but at the same time pretending to help them, okay, and have more of the sway of the territorial. What do you call it? The territorial. I lost my mind now. The territorial proximity with them. Say right, we could work with those people like the North Africans and those Europeans and the West. You can go that way, or they can say right, we have to stay to our brothers in Nigeria, but that's Nigeria without that sellout that's currently in power, and that sellout, with his people from that region and their mentality, okay. Basically, so when I say Nigeria, I mean Nigeria like those people who are warrior in mind, who know what sovereignty means, who have built kingdoms and empires, not those who suck up to the oppressors, basically. So they could actually work with the Nigerians and stay with them as a regional bloc and say, look, we will be formidable force as an eye, as the needle who will point the direction, the AES to point the direction in West Africa and say to Nigeria, look, you are our big brothers, but you are not leading us. We are going to lead us the direction where we're going to go, okay? Or they go with the option of the Southern Africans. These are the three options the AES have, but the AES must stay. The AES ideology must stay alive and expand in the continent. The AES ideology must survive and reign forever. And also the AES ideology, most important of all, should be the survival of the African race or the African people and protecting the African sovereignty, because that's what they stand for, and protect the people instead of oppressing the people, which I know their aim is to protect their people, not oppress them. So these are the three options. So if you ask me, I would say they should stay with their brothers in West, and like Nigeria, and basically, work together. But West Africa should follow the lead of the AES when it comes to sovereignty, when it comes to loads of stuff. Nigeria should be like that big brother that will provide like the manpower, when it comes to industrialization and certain aspect. Because you have that in Europe. You have some countries in Europe who have more military might. We have some countries in Europe who are more better in engineering. We have some countries in Europe who are better in trading. So we have to use those avenues that work for us. So these are the three options the AES have. So I think,
I mean, some people don't know when to pass the mic. You've been on the mic for far too long. Pass the mic, bro.
oh God,
Well,
I
I
don't.
could say this, that
Yeah.
Egypt
So
has the strongest military out of Africa
yeah.
and the
So
whole
so
Middle East. I
Let the
understand the
man
logic.
so
let the man wrap
yeah.
up, man.
So no.
Let the man
Yeah.
wrap
Thank
up.
you.
Hey,
So
Africa, man, wrap up. Yeah, wrap up.
yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So these are the options. You see me. I've been realistic, and I study. I have. I've been working in different fields. I watch things and I observe. I've been living in the belly of the beast, unlike some people, for a long time, and I'm more realistic. And I come from background that look at things in a realistic way, other than fantasy and other than biased point of view. I criticize my own when I need to, and I'll praise my own when I need to. And we need to all think like that, moving forward. But thank you very much. It's been quite civilized conversation. So far, the panelists have been civilized. Let's keep it that way. I pass the mic.
Okay, let me say this, right? Shout out to Donald Trump and the Nigerian government for taking out the second in command of ISIS in Nigeria, on the Nigerian border.
All
That
praise.
that was a major win. So shout out to that. Many people say the US ain't doing nothing. They're just there. But I guess they were gathering intelligence and taking out the head, of these terrorist organizations. So shout out for that. Look, let me say this, right? People who think about geopolitics based on emotions don't do a deep analysis of the relationship between the Western countries and Africa. African countries are heavily dependent on the industries of Western countries. Now, why do I say that? Go to some of these Western African countries and see the corporations that are helping with the essential, you know, industries in those countries, like the oil and gas, for example. Take my country, Liberia. I'll go to where I know most. When it comes to oil, natural gas, petroleum products, it's all the European countries, companies from the European countries that's there. We don't have our own countries
Yeah, but who else
that.
going to be there? They're the colonizers.
Hold
I
on, hold
don't
on,
get that.
hold on 1 second.
They're the
It's
ones who's
so
going to be there.
sad.
Hold on,
Interrupting
Let
him.
him
hold
go. Let him
on.
finish. Let him finish.
Let him speak.
I'll
Let him
talk
speak. Let
next.
him
Let
speak,
him
man.
finish.
So my point here
Give him
is
his
many
6
of
minutes.
these African countries lack the capacity to do, you know, things like, producing energy on their own. So if you don't have a company that can produce oil and gas and your country need petroleum, like, gas for cars, diesel and other things to run, different industry within their countries, you need the European countries or foreign countries as a whole to come in and do it for you. Even take a look at a place like Venezuela, that is a very wealthy country. They lack the capacity to build the machinery that can really dig and refine their thick crude oil. So what do they have to do? They have to go outside and look for other countries that have more capacity to come in there and do that. And it's rife, that same sentiment is rife in Africa, especially in West Africa. So when it comes to telecommunications, it's not a lot of African countries that have their own independent satellite, or even have the infrastructure or running cables under the ocean floor on the ocean floor to give their people internet. They have to tap in with the European companies to use and piggyback off their internet. So the infrastructure of most African countries are tied to Western countries who have had and built more capacity, and the African countries are just kind of piggybacking off of them to run their countries essentially. So unless you're a diplomat and you've been in the corridors of diplomatic or channels and know how things work, you have to ask yourself, why do our countries always want to work with the Western countries? Because they have the capacities that we don't. So a government would go to go to France. Like for example, my government went to France to bring more develop investment in developing our energy sector. So we have Total, the French oil company that's in Liberia and trying to expand to give more, energy to our countries. You go to Nigeria, you have Shell, BP. I don't know if the AES countries have their own independent oil companies that can dig and refine and produce oil for themselves, and they don't need any foreign, countries to come in and help them with that. So the essential things that most countries need in the world, African countries are not producing those things independently. They have to collaborate and they have to work and ask for investments from these more capable and Western countries to come in. So while we could talk a big game, the things that our people need to live on a day-to-day are not things that we as Africans are producing independently of us, for ourselves. So that's why we tend to have partnerships. That's why we tend to have these summits. And we go to the very European countries that many of us who are not in that diplomatic corridor think are our enemy. And we should have no business to do with them because they're going to infiltrate. The Western countries or the United States can listen to your phone conversation because you have Orange, Orange, for example, the phone company from France, or you have, you have Starlink in your country because your country don't have a satellite or, in orbit to give your people internet independent of Western countries. So you just have to understand how the world works. Saying these, strong and aggressive statement makes you look good and Pan-Africanist, but when you get down to brass tacks, all of your infrastructure, your critical infrastructure in your country are tied to Western countries or foreign countries. That's the point I wanted to make. I'll pass the mic.
Hold on. This Babaliko. Let me talk. I debunk Elvis what you just said.
Babaliko,
I'm cool, man. I'm cool. Big up to Bang and all you guys on there. Yo, let me tell you. Western Africa don't need no Western people to do any damn thing. All them little kids you see in Chikomato of Zimbabwe and all these guys, that guy in Nigeria who running that oil now, they got everybody they needs. You know what's the problem? The selfish African leaders. That's what it is. The selfish African leaders. They have kids. I was watching them kids make stuff for the head with the robot with the hand moving. You know what I'm saying? They got Africa is one of the smartest set of people on earth. But what happened? The leaders do not invest nothing of a dime in these kids so they can build up Africa. So all of you talking is nonsense. What you was just saying there. Africa need Africa. Bottom line, they have everything. They have everything. Tell me something Africa don't have. They got everything. They can do everything. The problem with Africa is the wicked leaders who take money from these Western people. They put contracts on them. And they say, you can't do this. You can't do that. So that's why it looks like Africa can't do nothing and they're handicapped. Because they put so much contracts and stipulations on them, they can't even take some of their own oil and stuff. Just imagine Niger was giving out the uranium for 80 cents. That guy should have been, they didn't want to put him back. So this is the things, the problem that's going on in Africa. The leaders. They ain't nothing to do with they need the West. Yes, they need the West in certain things, but when you're saying it like they handy, no.
Can Niger turn their uranium into nuclear power and power up Niger? Do they have the capacity to do that?
Elvis, it was quite decent conversation.
Do they have the capacity to build a nuclear bomb with their uranium?
Elvis, just read the conversation, please.
It's all right. It's all right. I'll play Elvis. You go jump on just now, Elvis. I'm gonna get you, but you know what I'm saying? So that's the problem that's going on right now. I'm agree, like I listen to everybody on here, but I agree majority with everything what Bang be saying and St. James. A lot of what's his Africa. You said something about those sand. We're not gonna do anything with them, man. Right now, we need to set the military to take them out. We don't do nothing with Egypt, nothing with Algeria, and nothing. Yes, right. because those are the real Egyptians there anyway. Those are the real Egyptians there anyway. So it doesn't even matter. What I'm saying is this. Okay, we don't need to work with them. I was giving the Nigerians and the Ivory Coast, these sellouts. These is the people that need to come on board with the AES and work with the AES, not those sand people. These is the sellouts that need to come on board, and then we could create a black Ghana, Ivory Coast, Benin, and all of Nigeria with the big boy. And then we're going to Chad and in Sudan and take back what is rightfully ours. Okay? Because the ending of the day, I tell you, man, the Caribbean, we're ready to step. As just Abraham Traore, hold on, man. Abraham Traore make a call pan after ready to step. Because a lot of stuff is going on right now. We watching, we still don't like it. Because
Dominicans kicking y'all asses in Haiti. What
man, I'm not even Haitian, man. But shout out to the Haitians too, man. But yeah, and that's the next thing. Why? The African leaders is going to do whatever they want to do anyway. That's why did Ruto take a vote on those troops going to Haiti? No. So he just doing what he want to do. You know what I'm saying?
The Latino is the sandcracker of the Caribbean.
All of them doing
so like the
what they want to do.
Be doing y'all.
We're not. Go ahead, Babali.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the what's going on right now. So that's what we need to do. You talking about kicking ass and all that. I was reading a comment when I was talking the other day, and we was talking about Iran and America, and somebody was laughing on the emoji saying, so y'all say Iran is winning the war, and they put a laughing emoji. That's to show you they didn't know the art of war. First to begin, Trump wanted regime change. Did he get that? No. Straight off Hamouz. Did he get that? No. Okay? So all these things is a losing war. You're losing. Everything you wanted, you did not get. Okay? Oil, you wanted to run control, just like Venezuela, you didn't get that. Okay? So all these things is a losing war. You're losing the war. You imagine all your bases, I mean, in the Middle East is blown up. You lost the war. You're losing. So when you talk about Caribbean, you need to go and talk to your American buddy Trump and ask him why he's losing the war. He's losing the war. Okay? In Iran. It's a lost war. So you can't come for the Caribbean.
I'll push back on that quickly, right?
They're losing the war. Nothing he went there for is working out.
Hold on, Babarigo. You have 90 million people in Iran, right? The entire army is to the max, trying to defend their country against maybe 5% of the U.S. military. So don't be fooled and think that this is an all-out war that the U.S. is losing.
Hold on. No, but what did they go there for?
Just understand.
What did they go there for?
The U.S. is not in an all-out war with Iran. They're just doing targeted strikes. If it's military, on military, stop it. So it's not even a war that has been approved by Congress. It was a 3 month, as Trump would call it, incursion or excursion. But the full weight and the full might of the U.S. military is not fighting Iran. That's what you have to understand. And the entire country of Iran is trying to defend itself against maybe 10,000 U.S. forces.
Everybody's trying to defend themselves against.
They're not winning a war per se. They're only protecting themselves by
war. What are you talking
strikes.
about? Nothing they went there for is working. Nothing they went there for is working.
That's not even 1% of the U.S. military might that Iran is facing. So if it's an all-out war, they have no chance.
They lost all their bases in the Middle East. They lost all their bases. Are you saying to, and they got a contract now? They have no contract now to even say, well, okay, we want to bring back this. The Iran say you never want those bases back there. So how they're winning the war? Winning the war how? How?
I'm not telling you they're winning the war per se. I'm telling you that is a small percentage of the U.S. military force that's even attacking Iran, and their whole security and army apparatus is defending their country. So if the Americans really declare war and they brought all of their tools and their weaponry, Iran has no chance against the U.S. We all know that. So let's not cap.
That's not true.
They're not beating the United States full military.
That's your opinion. That's your opinion. No, let the man have it. Let him have his opinion, man. That's his opinion.
That's not true.
Yeah. Let's pass the mic, please, man. Let's pass the mic.
Yeah.
Let me say something.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
And then other people can speak, right?
Go ahead,
okay. The last time I checked, right? About 2 weeks ago, CNN did a so-called investigation, right? Which is CNN is a Western
communist news network.
Right? They showed us what what was going on over there. So that's facts. So that's not me using my big mouth. That's CNN saying what truly happened.
Communist news network.
Let's look at the word capacity, right? And then also dependency. Because to me in Africa, lack of capacity and dependency goes along with each other. You understand me, right? Okay. So if you want to invest, right, you got to do a lot of research, right? It takes time. So you need good amount of funding, right? You got to gather all your smart people. You got to fund this industry, right, for them to do some type of research. So eventually they could discover how to do this, how to do that, right? So you understand me, right? So if you take that away completely, right? So you're gonna have what, a dependency, economy. That's what Africa is. So if you have a dependency economy, you're gonna have lack of capacity. So that's where the lack of capacity come from. The lack of capacity is primarily design. It is done on purpose. It's not the capacity of the brain, of the know-how. It's because of these so-called people don't support these industries that are meant to prosper us.
Exactly.
So then create a dependency for these so-called Westerners that's gonna come and save us. Because the West wants our resource the way they want to. That's what the game is all about. That's what the game is all about. I mean, let's be fair now. Just like how if you have your child in this country, right? You're not gonna tell your child you lack of capacity for you to become a doctor. You lack the capacity for you to become a so-called RN nurse. You lack the capacity for you to become an engineer. You're not gonna say that because you know why? The infrastructure is already designed. You're not the one telling your child how to study. You're not the one telling your child,
exactly.
let me
No, he's
hire
right.
you so you can write this. No, you're not.
Yeah,
Because
I
you
agree.
know your child has the capacity because the system it's already been designed. So if you don't design that system, your country gonna be lack of capacity. So it is done on purpose for you to be dependency. So please, people to come up here
That's
to try
why
to
a lot
talk
of
to us as if we child.
that's why a lot of Africans come to America.
I don't know.
A lot of Africans come to America and do well.
Hold on.
Yeah,
Hold on,
can I
brother.
say?
I'm gonna end this
Okay.
right so that other people can talk, right? I don't know
Okay.
where some people go with their talking points, but to some of us up here, you're not gonna try to talk to us as if we're not aware of what's really going on, or we can't break your Q's and P's, right? But at the end of the day, the Arabs, I don't want to call them Arabs. The people up in the north, they have a different agenda compared to some of us.
Yes.
We just gotta build our economy, our military, the way we're supposed to protect our people first. Because the people up in the north, they do it for the people first. So we just gotta do the same.
I agree.
It's gonna take time. We got the numbers.
I agree.
We got the
I agree.
population. It's just the intent and then the purpose.
I agree.
That's what we do in Africa.
My only point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
I agree. Thank you. I mean that should be an option, but when you laying down analysis, sometimes you got to spread it out. That's the reason why I included them. It's not because they are an option.
No, man. You did a good job. A great job.
Yeah.
Man, Superman.
Thank
You
you.
did a great job, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Respect
Because
to you,
the
man.
reality is,
Respect to you,
yeah, thank you. Because we know the reality is,
Respect to you.
thank you.
You're an African man.
Yeah, thank you. The reality is, the problem we have in Africa, we have some people who they haven't historically, even at present, they haven't actually managed to achieve what they call sovereignty. They never achieved anything without the help of the outsiders. So they're used to being helped. They say it's like someone that's used to being helped throughout their life. They think, they don't have an option to do it themselves. And those people who used to go out there and fetch for themselves throughout their life, and they always achieve things. These are the two group of people we have in the continent. Okay, so who these are the differences between the two groups that lead the continent and those who follows. Okay, and this is why the inland Africans have always led, and this is why they always have tried to use the other brothers to block them. The inland Africans always used to find their own ways and find things and find the option for themselves and build themselves, and in fact build empires. You can go back to history. You can see why most of the empires in Africa were from the inland, not from the coast, because these people were able to do it without any help from the outsiders. It's a mindset. I'm afraid it's a mindset. You sometimes you have a neighborhood who have inherit wealth. They was born in wealth, and you have another side of the neighborhood who are poor. But then if you look at if they have to go on the long race, sometimes you can see that neighborhood that have no money eventually end up winning the race because they used to go out and find for themselves. They're not used to being dependent, and that's the problem here. And it's a problem we have in the continent and the mindset that we have, and that needs to change. You know, if, for example, we know some countries in Africa they never manage to have, and they never manage to build anything for themselves. They always have relied on the outside help, which goes on to majority of African continent. But some countries are actually worse than the others. It's a mindset. They always used to have their leaders who go around the world begging, for foreign aid, begging for influence, begging for infrastructural development. And you have some countries in Africa who will say, right, I'm going to do with what I got. I'm going to sell a little bit of mineral resources and I'll build some roads and basically use that money, what I got, and do for myself. So we have a different mindset in the continent. We got to accept that. Some people are destined to be slaves. Some people are destined to be free slaves. Some people are destined to be
Oh yeah.
house Negroes. Some people are destined to be the free,
Yeah.
Negroes.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
we
yeah.
want to
That's
be
why.
with the free
That's
Negroes.
why.
Yeah.
That's why. That's why the island, the Caribbean, could be a great place for certain people. Because to me, we gotta connect with some of our brothers in the island, man. Because some of them have a mindset that
I
I
mean,
true
apart of,
embrace.
Can I say
but
A
apart
something?
of,
true embrace, man.
yeah, of
A
course,
true
yes, of
embrace,
course,
But we
man.
never lose it. That's what I'm saying. Remember, we come off the
right.
same slave ship. We come off the same slave ship of the Americans, but we never lose our African heritage. We always keep it. That's
Right.
why when you go to Africa, when you see in Speed in Africa, every Caribbean island he went to, you see and they have the African drums and they're doing the African dance and they're singing African songs because we never lost it. That's why a lot of
Right.
these Americans here, they be like, where you, Don, this was asking one of the guys the other day, where you from? Are you African heritage? He couldn't say. Are you American heritage? Native? He couldn't say. He's just all over the place because they lost something. They don't want to say they're Africans. A lot of these Americans, they don't want to say stuff, which is a problem because you got to be of
Yeah.
some type of African descent, even though you're saying you're a native, right? It's some type of African descent. It's
Mm.
some type of African descent. So that's the problem and we have. And I want to ask Elvis Morris, because he was saying something about we need the West and blah, 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 blah. Tell me why all these Africans come to America and France and go there and do so well, become doctors and engineers and manage oil companies and all that. Is it because they don't have luck, they need the white man, or it's because they got the opportunity and they rise to the occasion? That's the problem I was talking about. All they need is the opportunity in Africa. They don't need nobody to hold their hand. All they need is the opportunity, and they will do it.
That's a great question. Let me answer you, right? So I'll give you an example of Dangote. I hear people calling Dangote, right? So look at Liberia or Sierra Leone, for example. Let's just go to Sierra Leone. The entire GDP, that's the gross domestic product of Sierra Leone, is less than what Dangote borrowed, with some of his own money and other investors' money to build his refinery. So that's a man who had the capacity, based on his wealth, his connection, his borrowing power, to borrow money and build a refinery. Now, the fact that he built a refinery, he's not an oil producer. He has to go and buy oil from other Nigerians, and he's having a hard time doing that. So his capacity to run his refinery at optimal levels is being hindered based on the lack of oil producers who wants to sell to him. We go to Saudi Arabia or even Iran now, that is a quote unquote enemy of the United States. Their oil industries was started and ran by Western countries or Western powers. For many years, you heard about Saudi Aramco, that's perhaps the biggest oil company in the world, was ran by the British and the Americans, and the Saudi Arabians were getting royalties or residuals from those deals, and those deals initially were, predatory against the Arabians because they didn't have the capacity. But over the years, of course, they built capacity by sending their people to schools. Most of them came to Western schools because they didn't have the universities in their own countries to adequately teach these people how to become petroleum engineers and so on and so forth. So they came to the West where the capacity were, and they learned and they went back home, and now they're running their own companies. So when you talk about Africans, it's the same thing. They don't have the capacity in their universities, so a lot of them seek to come to the Western countries to get their education. And then when those smart people who are very smart do a cognitive analysis and then make a logical conclusion that, well, now I have the capacity to go back home, but the infrastructure is not there for me to thrive. So what do? I'd rather stay in Britain and work for a large corporation. I'd rather stay in the United States and work because they've built the infrastructure where I can thrive. So it's all about capacity building. If you don't have the infrastructure, whether it's educational, whether it's business, whether it's industries, your people are going to leave to where those
Okay, so
industries
you,
are already established.
You saying the same
And
thing I'm
that's
saying,
what you see.
Alfred? You saying the same thing I'm saying?
Let me finish.
Can I say something?
I'm gonna respond. I got you. I'm gonna respond. Give me a second, please. Give me a second,
You
please.
you
Right?
just
Okay.
spoke. Can I
Now,
say something?
oh, please, go ahead. I apologize. After you.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
because Elvis seemed to like overlook the fact that a lot of these Western nations have terms post independence that regulates who gets contracts, right? And Africa was stifled for many years until the multipolar element returned, where China, Russia, other entities, Turkey, other entities are there that they can do trade with for minerals, for cash dollars, so they can build up the infrastructure. So he's overlooking the fact that the world is not the same as in 1960, 1970, 1980. The same for Haiti. Haiti fought for independence. Haiti was self-reliant, self-dependent for years until the globalist world came in the 1900s, right? When the globalist world came, it couldn't sustain itself the same way. Why? Because America, the West, whatever, were undercutting the prices of the certain commodities that were already on the market, the rice, the grains, the whatever. They undercut it. So Elvis likes to overlook that factor and say, oh, the West is helping. Yes, they help in certain degrees, but they don't want you to stand on your full feet. But in the multipolar world, Black nations have more leverage. That's why I think the summit makes sense, because they have more leverage. They don't have to just go to America or France. They can go to Turkey. They can go to the Middle East. They can go to China. They can go to Japan, whatever. They could cut new deals. The same way, for me, I always preach that Haiti should be working more with Africa, because that's why I even salute Kenya for at least attempting to help Haiti, because at the end of the day, you can't stay on your 2 feet if you're isolated. And the world has elements of racial, political, and ideology-based
Ideological.
partnerships. Go ahead. I know he's gonna say that. They basically have different levels of partnerships based on these 3 different key elements. So Haiti is very much isolated. The AES was smart enough to click up and work together to coordinate to create change amongst themselves. But I feel like that was not enough. That's why I said they should have went to the summit to at least voice and create connections or whatever to echo their. Well, go ahead, I'm past the mic. But go ahead.
Let me say this, right? Okay. Thank you very much. People, when they discover oil, and then the purpose of oil, right? All these African countries, right, was still under colonialism, right? 100%. So to me, if I'm the West, right, why would I empower the countries that I colonize and I control for them to come back and use that resource against me? So in return, the West made sure that these African nations do not learn how to refine oil, how to build their own oil refinery. That was the whole game when they discovered, the need of the black gold. That's why it's called black gold for a reason. So let's put that as a realistic, right? Because that is facts. Now look at it, right? Just like I just said, right? Dependency. It's designed in Africa for a reason like that. Because when you depend on people or foreigners, you cannot have a capacity where you could influence the world. That's the whole thing. That's the whole agenda. That is absolutely facts. A leader You judge a leader the way they lead their countries. If your mindset is just to be dependency on these foreign entities, you're gonna be lack of capacity. That's just how it is. Just like how if you have a family, your father and your mother do not work, you guys are gonna go around the street beg. Your family gonna become a beggar for them to eat. That's what Africa is. So our leaders became a beggar on purpose. It was designed like that. That's why we don't have nice things in our house. If it was a family, that's why you don't have big screen TVs. You can have a big dinner. You can have a fancy chair. You can have a clean place to sit at. That's what in the world. That's how Africa was designed to be.
Yeah, like
It
I'm in
comes back
Oklahoma.
to the leaders. Your leaders is who you are. So if your leaders, if their job is to make sure you build the infrastructure, you're gonna build the infrastructure, no matter how long it takes you. You're gonna build it, but you don't want to tell me that for us to build the infrastructure, we don't have the capacity. If you don't have the capacity, then how come the West is so worried about when you have a leader that has a mindset of development? They quickly want to sanction you or take you out in some corrupt leader, some sellout. So these are the things when people speak, right? Hold on. These are the things that people do not include in it, but they design it as if it's like something that you need these people. No, it comes back to dependency, because at the end of the day, if a leader wants to develop their country, they have the mindset, they have the belief, they have the numbers, they have the smart people. You just need to fund these people. And then give me 1 second. I'm gonna end it with Nigeria, right? Okay, Nigeria has a crude oil, tremendously, right? So the Nigerian government could have easily designed their own refinery, but they didn't want to. Instead, they stole the money and put it in foreign banks. It benefits who? The West, because it created dependency. So it took a private company, man, that built his own refinery, and you telling me the Nigerian government did
in all fairness,
they chose not to. They chose not to. And then just 10 seconds. Dangote does not have to go to another country and put a gun in the head and say, "Give me your resource." Dangote is getting his own crude oil in his own country from Nigeria. The state, the government owns % of that as well. So people, I don't know,
that's
you
what
can twist this as all you want, man. You can twist this as all you want. You're just gonna be a bootlicker. It is in your DNA. It is in your DNA to be a bootlicker. That's all it is.
Yep. And let me tell you, I'm in Oklahoma.
People who leave their countries and come to the United States and it's living proof of the white man's capacity. Because if the white man wasn't capable of building a society,
nobody.
Let me make a point. I need to
make it quick. Make it quick.
Yeah. If the white man wasn't capable of building a society where you love and that you love to live in, and you don't want to go back and build capacity in your own countries, that shows you that you're being a hypocrite.
No.
Because if your father brought you to this country and you're still in this country, living in this country, and enjoying the white man's infrastructure that he had the capacity to build and maintain, and you don't say, you know what, I'm going to go back home and build the same thing that the white man has.
This is the problem.
Then you're enjoying that. So you can't criticize it.
I hear you.
This is real life. Talking doesn't mean anything unless you can prove it with actions.
Elvis. Let me finish, right? Let me make this point. Okay, no, he's done.
Let him finish.
No, he's done. He's done. Okay, look. No, he's done. But thank you, Elvis. I mean, that's his opinion. No, it's fine. That's his opinion. Okay, I'm not gonna throw insults at him. Okay, I'm gonna, in fact, sometimes I actually respect Elvis and I respect Niger, because Elvis speaks his mind. He is straight on arrow. That's his point. That's his view. I either like it or not, or dislike it. And as someone like Elvis, I can actually say, right, I disagree with you or I agree with you. He is straight on point. I respect him for that. Even though I totally disagree with his mindset. But one thing me and Elvis might have one thing in common, that we want Liberia, we want Sierra Leone, we want Guinea, we want Ivory Coast, and the entire West Africa to develop. We want our people to move forward, and we want the entire black race to move forward. But Elvis don't speak for African Americans and Caribbeans when he say they live in white infrastructure. They live in. If you're talking about Africans who migrated to the West, you might be saying something. But you yourself, you've been quite hypocritical
That's
here.
who I was
You know,
talking about. The Africans who
oh, okay,
come
okay,
to the
okay.
West.
But you remember, Elvis, we people in Sierra Leone and Liberia, before the war in Liberia and Sierra Leone, we have no need to go to the West. You know that yourself. So for the fact that you said that, I'm really disappointed. But I don't want to go into another route of argument, because Liberia and Sierra Leone and the Sierra Leone economy were very, very decent. People will have decent education, good infrastructure, and decent life. People used to come to our countries, but we know what multinational corporations do when they're in need of certain things. You know, they will destroy. Okay, but sadly, we did not have enough defense to defend our lands. You know, we end up in this situation where we find ourselves and the countries that we found ourselves in. So I disagree with that respectfully. But however, okay, we need to understand that, you know, people travel around the world. Is You know, people move around the world. This is just a fact. We live in a globalized world. To say somebody is enjoying the white infrastructure or somebody is opposing the West because they hate white people, you know, stuff like that, that's just gaslighting us, bro. I don't hate white people, regardless of what they done to Africa or what they done to, you know, doing
Exactly.
slavery. I don't hate entire white race, because not all white race are like that. I always reiterate that William Wilberforce was a British white man who actually went to Sierra Leone and stopped transatlantic slavery, stopped other black people selling their own, you know, you know, as slaves. Even after the white man abolished slavery, been aided by the FBA, the black diaspora, who fought so hard and make sure Africans don't sell their own again. Okay, so we understand that. So us Africans, we're guilty of a lot of stuff. Let's make that clear. So let's draw the line when we
I
when we're
didn't say anything
comparing.
about
Can I
hatred.
ask
All I'm
Elvis a
saying
question?
is we
Elvis,
live in these
Yeah, yeah,
countries, right?
Elvis,
You
you
live in
okay,
the
okay?
okay.
UK, I live in the
No,
United States, and we
Listen,
enjoy
Elvis,
living in this country.
I'm gonna be
hold on.
real with you. Listen, let me just make that
Okay,
back.
okay.
The UK,
Let
I
me
live in the UK. The reason why I live, no, wait 1 second. The reason why I live in the UK, because I've studied their history, I've analyzed a lot of things, and I realized the UK, majority of the English people are very decent, and the best place for a black person to live in the whole Western world, in the whole white world, is the UK. I'm not shy of that. I can prove that to so many people. The UK is the only country where you can live as a black person. You feel free, and you don't feel, you know, tormented. Okay, and also the UK is one of the first countries who actually have people in their own land who fought hard to abolish slavery. The UK is one of the first people, um, you know, that actually use their resources to abolish and fight and stop slavery, even though other Africans were doing the things that, you know, is not right. But however, their institutions, their corporations, you know, their money making machines, their money making machinery, these are killer machines. These have been working against the black race and the black people throughout history. They haven't
I
stopped
want to
doing
ask
it.
Elvis a question.
Okay.
Can I
Okay.
say
No,
If
something?
no,
if
listen,
the
listen.
UK was
Okay,
undeveloped more than Africa, more
No,
than
but
your
let me
home
just finish.
country is,
okay,
Yeah,
you
let
wouldn't
me
be
just
living
let
there.
me just
okay.
finish.
It's
Let
Finish
me
not
this.
just
about all
Finish
finish.
that.
this
It's
and go,
about the
man.
development of
And
the
this
country.
Finish this
this
and
is not
express and
me
go.
just saying this. This is even the white man that you worship. Yeah, even the white man that you worship saying it, that their own
Let's not
killer
go through that route,
machine
man. And let's not go through that route.
Elvis, you
need
married?
to stop.
You married, Elvis?
Let's not
Need
go
to
through that
Of
stop.
route.
So
course.
Let's not go through that route.
okay, and that's one. So no, I'm just trying to address
Elvis,
Elvis separately. Okay, now let me just make this point
No,
now, right? So
let's not make it into one
yeah.
person, man.
So
Let's
if
give a
you this is
facts.
from
There's no need to call out
This is from an
names.
African point of view.
There's
Yeah,
no you don't
exactly.
call
This
out
is from an
names, man.
African.
There's
Yeah,
plenty of
exactly.
facts nowadays.
This is from
Plenty
an
of
African
facts.
point of view. But if you're talking to a Caribbean who've been through transatlantic slavery, who their ancestors been through transatlantic slavery, you're talking to African Americans who have ancestors were slaves for how many years? You are actually insulting these people intelligence.
That's
So
not what
when you're
I
speaking,
didn't mention
no,
those
but
people. I'm
when
talking
you,
about
so
us
you know,
Africans who leave our countries and come to the West. I'm not talking about the people
Hold
who are here.
on.
no. So when you,
Let the
okay,
next
break
person
it
go.
down when you speak it next time. No,
Yeah,
Elvis, when you come here to defend things, break it down next time, because you're coming here when you speak in such a way, you know, as my
You were the one
Liberian
that was
brother.
limiting the time I could speak. You told me you should, shortly.
Okay,
Be quick. Be quick. You didn't
okay,
give me the
okay.
time
I'm
to
just okay.
expatiate on what I was
Okay,
saying.
no problem. Next time, just break it down, because we Africans have different experience to what African Americans have been through. We Africans have different experience to what our Caribbean brothers been through. So we need to break these things down.
Yeah, let me break it down. My
We
main
don't.
point
Okay.
was
Thank you.
when we
Thank
come
you.
into
Thank
these
you. Thank
countries,
you.
we don't leave because the infrastructure that the the people who dominate these societies build in our minds are superior to the ones that we have back home in our own countries. So the medical system, a lot of people stay here if they have some health issues because they know they'll get the best health care here rather than going back home to Africa. The for employment, to make a reasonable wage to live, they realize that it's better here than it will be back home in their home countries. The infrastructure of roads and other things, energy, electricity is way better here than it would be back in their home countries. So
Elvis,
that's why we stay here. It's not because the white man is treating us well. It's because our quality of lives are better in these people's country than it would be in our own countries. That's why we stay.
that's
Yeah,
somewhat
but it's
true.
by
Can I say
design,
something?
Elvis. It's by design. You know Dr. Serby, Elvis? You ever heard of
Yeah.
Dr. Serby?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
What he did? He did things that they couldn't even do here. He cured stuff that they couldn't even do here.
I mean, those are
My creamy
claims that
brother.
was not
My
provable,
creamy
right?
brother.
Can I
Come
say
on,
something,
Elvis.
Elvis, please?
Oh,
Can I
come
say something?
on.
Okay.
No,
All right.
okay,
So I guess
let me,
the HIV drink the HIV cure drink that he made, where is it now? Why don't we have it in South Africa where you got 7.5 million
hold on.
people with HIV?
They wouldn't allow that to happen. You think they'll allow
Hold on.
that
Let me say.
cure to come
Let
out?
me say this, right? Let me say this. Let me say this. Let me say this
Yeah,
real
go
quick,
on.
right? Let me say this real
Yeah,
quick,
yeah.
right? Okay. You know, some of us come in this country, work our way up. I have a family of mine, right? She had 2 jobs up to this day. But man, for the past almost 30 years, she worked 2 jobs, right? Some of us, I can't do it, but she does. Respect to her. You understand me, right? Okay. So yes, yeah. So we come here and then we benefit of a lot of things, right? I get that. We do. I'm not gonna say we don't, but my issue is, right? My issue is this, right? When we have leaders in our countries, they're trying to implement some ideology like that. Who am I to go against it? If you're gonna judge somebody that come here and benefit of these things, right? But you at the same person that stays here. But then when the individual that's back home that wants to create a structure like that, you have an issue with it. What's that tell you then about yourself? Because me, I don't have issue with it. I defend any African leaders that have their mindset of develop their country. That's why the other time when I said I quickly became Assimi Goita's fan, right? I said that's my president because you know why? It was the mindset, the belief. Somebody called me a traitor. How am I a traitor when I'm supporting an African man, especially in West Africa? Their mindset is to develop their nation from scratch. But then you as an individual called somebody else a traitor, but then you said we come in and benefit, but then we don't want to go back. But then you don't want to support somebody that have a mindset of develop their nation. Because at the end of the day, right, we're all human beings, right? We all human beings. None of us are not special. We all have weakness. So then are we going to say Africa has a weakness of infrastructure development? That's ludicrous.
Yes, of course. It's evident.
Can I say something?
No, it's not evidence. No, because how come the West always go after people that have a mindset like that then? How come the
Africa
West
is the least developed continent apart from Antarctica,
No, hold
which
on.
is not even
We
really a
are
continent.
conquered for a reason. I'm not gonna say it, but I know for sure, right? If I see a leader, even if they are Liberians, even if they come from Congo, Togo, Benin, and all these countries, right? If their mindset is to make sure African leaders are not stealing the money, living in Western world, have mount houses, have all type of things, right? Their kids come to this country as well, right? If their mindset is so you know what? I don't have property in the West. My mindset is to develop my nation. I'm gonna support you. I'm not gonna talk down about you. If I talk down about you, what it says about me, personally inside. That's what I'm questioning. That is what I'm questioning. That's why I said it is a DNA thing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm questioning.
Can I say
That is
something?
exactly what I'm questioning.
Yeah,
It goes back to capacity
Prince,
and
go
dependency.
on.
Yeah,
You're right, Bang. I agree with you, brother. brother.
That's what I'm questioning. Don't come up here and try to tell me some garbage, man.
Elvis, right after slavery, Elvis, did Black Americans build up Tulsa, Oklahoma, had their own doctor, their own everything going? Didn't that happen right after slavery?
I didn't mention anything about Black Americans. Why are you
No, but
mentioning
I'm
Black
trying to talk.
Americans?
No, were you
I'm
saying
I'm
that?
talking about Africans, right?
No,
Black
but you
Americans are
said
different than Africans,
no.
right?
You saying we here in America with a white man living.
I wasn't referring to Black Americans. I'm talking about Africans who are here in the United States and other
No, but
Western countries.
I'm
No,
showing
no,
you
no,
that.
no,
I'm
no. My
showing you
Caribbean
that.
friend, my
I'm
Caribbean
showing
friend.
you that.
What
That
he was
even in
doing, what he's doing is he's trying to say you can't question the white master. That's what he's doing, because then you are African. That's what he's doing. But a white man
Again, I'll
can say
use
the
a big
same thing.
word that some of
A
you may
white man can say the
understand.
same thing. A white
The
man can say the same
logic that
thing.
African
But
come
then
up
he
with
say,
is
oh, this and that.
phenomenological, right? They know the difference between living in Africa and living in the United States. So their logic is based on that reality. Well, my life is better here. The way I live, the way I feel, the way I can provide for myself is better here. So why? I'm going to stay here.
Yeah,
That's
some
how
of us.
their logic is
Yeah, we
based on
agree
how they
with that,
feel
Elvis.
and what they experience.
Elvis,
That's all I'm saying. So when you criticize the whites and you criticize all these people, fine. You have legitimate criticism. But the point that I'm making
I
is
do
in
not,
your
friend.
countries,
But hold on
the
though.
things
What
that
are we
they make, the
criticizing?
things that make you
What are we
comfortable in their
criticizing?
countries, you lack the
What are
capacity
we
to build it in your
criticizing?
country.
Can I say
That's the
What
something
point that
are
I'm
we
making.
criticizing?
Yes, let
Principy,
Principal say something. I'll come
answer
after
this
you.
question. Principy,
Oh
answer
man.
this question. What are we criticizing? What are we criticizing?
Yeah, I get both your
Exactly.
points. I get both your points. Hold on,
Exactly.
hold on.
No,
Let me
no, no,
Let
no. Hold
Principal
on,
come
let me
in.
say something real quick, man.
No,
Bang, let me say something. Come on, man.
because you do have some Africans, right? They have some type of I don't know what they call it, right? When you want to talk about America or the West, right? They start questioning you as if you don't have the right to talk with your real opinion.
A
You
lot of
have a
them.
right.
What
You
does
have
my
a right
opinion
to
have to do
criticize.
with that then?
Bang,
Yeah, you have the
bang. A
right to
lot of them. A
criticize.
lot
Other
of
people
them.
have the
Let me
right
say
to
something
push
real quick.
back if you're making criticism that's
Principal,
hypocritical.
A lot of
nah, I hear you, man.
Let me say
Principal, make
something.
a point, bro.
Yeah,
Okay.
2
Yeah,
points.
go
2
ahead, go ahead.
points.
Let me shut up.
Well, my first point was to Al. He's saying that
Yeah.
the West did this, the West fought against slavery, the West
No,
built
no, no.
medicine, infrastructure, whatever.
I said some. I said some of the. I said some. They said this is why English is very important to understand. You know, when someone is speaking English, it's very easy to misinterpret them. I said some. So
Yes, some,
when I said some, okay, so
but
it's not majority, but some
some Africans
against
fought.
some Africans who were involved in doing the same stuff. That
But
that we.
some Africans in
Hmm.
Africa was fighting against slavery in Africa. Some Africans in the Americas were fighting
Yes.
against slavery here. The abolitionists, some of their key works and
Yes.
writings came from Africans advocating for the end of slavery. Even in Europe,
Yes.
there's something called the Sons of Africa. There was some kind of movement that was advocating with abolitionists over there to expel slavery. So Africans are very involved in their the abolishment of slavery.
Of course,
Black
of course.
Americans, etc. They're involved in medicine.
Also.
They're involved in the infrastructure. And that's my first point.
Right.
My second point to Elvis
Right.
is I get his point, but he's overlooking the key fact that the infrastructures that he's talking about that are lacking, a lot of these shady contracts is one of the reasons why they're lacking. There's a reason why maybe over the past 20, 30 years, infrastructures jumped greatly more so than when Africa was under colonization, is because these African leaders are making different deals in the multipolar world. You keep overlooking that fact that closed some of the gap, right? And this is what the summit is about. The summit is about migration. The summit is about technology. The summit was about new terms of deals and trade to have Africans better themselves, one, and two, remain in their own countries and build up their own infrastructure. So that was the purpose of the Kenyan summit. So for Elvis to just basically say that, we just lack infrastructure, it's just not simple as that.
Can I ask you a series of questions, and I'll be quick, right? Let me just engage with Principe. One second. Let me ask you a question.
I'll come after that.
One second, please. So,
hold on, guys. Let me read this super chat. JC Inc. Thank you for 499. Holla. The English abolishing slavery is equivalent to an arsonist extinguishing the fire he started. That's crazy. All right, go ahead.
All right. So the point that I'm trying
to African goddess, thank you for the 2,500 Seifa, and Babaliko, thank you for the $5 holla. Bang, be on point. AES for life.
All right. The point that I'm trying to make, and I'll ask you about your own country, Principe, is that most African countries don't have the economic capacity to really build up their countries. So what is the GDP of Haiti?
Oh, I'm not sure. I think it's a couple billion, like the low
Only a couple billion. What do you
Yeah.
think it costs to build an educational system that will be able to lift Haiti out of the poverty that it's in terms of monetary? What's the amount of money it would take to build an entire country, an educational system that would help lift Haiti out of poverty?
It'll take several $billions to lift up to build a thorough education system as well as infrastructure and all that kind of stuff. But
what about a medical industry system? How much you think that will cost to build great hospital, train great doctors?
To build it is one thing, and also to sustain it is another. It costs to sustain.
That's the point. You just made my point. Most of these countries don't have the resources in terms of liquid cash.
You're comparing Haiti to Africa.
No, I'm just saying that Africa, for example, right?
Discounted at the rates.
They don't have the. Hold on. Let me make the point, guys. Look, I'll pass the mic.
I'm a respond.
Yeah, they don't have the liquid capacity.
Let me come after him. Let me come after him.
Oh yeah, they don't have the liquid capacity in terms of cash to build their countries. So, like I just made the point, if a country entire production for the entire country is say $5 billion, which is a lot of money, right? That's not money that's even in the hands of the government. That's just the GDP. Most of these things are exported. Most of these things are not, the money is not actually realized. So some of these countries, like my country, for example, my entire budget for my government is $1.2 billion. 90% of that budget is going to reoccurring expenditures. So you're paying salaries, you're servicing your debt. So the only money that's really left to invest in a country of 5.6 million people is like $200 million. Where do you allocate those monies to build capacity for your people, whether it's through healthcare or education or energy, or generation? It's just not there. These are poor countries. They're not raising enough capital to build up their infrastructure. That's the point that I'm making.
I get your point. I get your point. The thing is about what I was talking to the man in the high castle earlier is about the rate of exchange. That's number one. Two is the regional integration. That's number two, right? Because if you're comparing Africa to Haiti, AES, all those nations are right next to each other. Nigeria, Benin, Togo, they're right next to each other, right? So those countries can trade more so amongst themselves and build blocks, ECOWAS, whatever, to create more trade and increase wealth. And if they have a better rate from the West, they can sustain themselves. While Haiti, like I told you earlier, in the 1930s, they shift Haiti from being self-sufficient to being dependent on the global trades. So a lot of Haiti is centered around export. So say we make $6 billion, 7 billion plus people that send a remittance, right? All that is, a lot of that money goes to servicing debt, like you said, and a lot of it comes from export. I feel like Africa has more of a capacity to shift the dynamics, more of a muscle on the global stage to shift the dynamics than Haiti, who's an isolated island on its own. God bless Haiti, 1804, Flag Day tomorrow. You feel me?
Yeah.
Man, shut up, man.
I mean,
please, I beg you, my brother, just 1 minute, please, I beg you, please, I beg you, please. Now,
go on.
Now, look at it, right? Look at it from in a country like some of our countries in Africa, right? Okay, we have resources, right? I get that part. Okay, we can't mass produce our resource. Okay, I'll give it to you if you want to put it like that. Now, look at it, right? Okay, if you're a government official, right? You're the president and everything, right? Would you sign a deal where you gave up like 90% of your resource for free? Why would some entity come, right, and knock at your door and say, sir, you have this resource right here, we need it, right? Okay, so give us 95% of it. Oh, boom. Does that make sense? Now, what are you giving up? You are giving massive capital away. You're giving up massive capital away. So that is designed on purpose to make it look like the capacity of finance is not there. So when we're speaking about finance capacity, let's be honest with ourselves now. So look at it right now. So what if, another president says, no, I'm not going to sign that deal. Give us 30, give us about 30%. They agree, right? Okay, that country, they agrees, right? So that means that country's going to have, a lot of capital, for them to spend compared to the other country, neighbor-wise, that gave up what, 95%. So within that amount of money you got, right, it's up to you now as a leader to use it the better way, right? Okay. So then if you do implement that money in a much better way, eventually you're gonna have some infrastructure that's a little better compared to the country neighbors. You're gonna have a school system that's a little better, right? So as time goes on, after 10 or 20 years later, your capacity could be to a different level compared to your neighbor country. Why? Because the deal you signed, you gave up 95% of your resource away. The other guy next door to you, they were only giving up 65%. And at the same time, that 35% that they got, they implemented in a much better way. They didn't allow their ministers to buy Mercedes-Benz, BMW, G-Wagon, and all that. They didn't allow their ministers to have like multiple properties in the West. You know, they didn't allow the ministers to go off and then just buy anything and then come and show off. They didn't allow their ministers to just build mansions in their countries as well when the roads look like garbage. They didn't allow that. They stopped all that. They make sure that 35%, it was used in a much better way to improve the people's life. So as time goes on, 10 or 20 years later, now that country has completely dependency on the West. The other country now, it's not. Because you know why? They didn't sign a ridiculous deal. So that's what it comes down to when people over here telling you Africans don't have the finance. Because you can see when you want to build roads in Africa, right? Look how many contracts it goes through. Middleman, this middleman, this middleman. And then the day, what happens? The road, if that road costs about 100 million, to that contract is gonna push it probably like $600 million, almost $1 billion. And then what happened then? They recycle that same money to themselves, and then the road is never fixed. So that's the game. So it's never about the finances not there. It's the deal that these leaders gave up, and they did on purpose. That's exactly what it is. So people, whatever way you want to twist it, I keep saying these things. You're gonna see the truth. You see what Burkina Faso is doing with the infrastructure, right? You saw it with your own eye. You were like, God damn, I wish this was my country. I wish this was my country. But we're gonna do an update about that vote the next couple months after rain season. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. And then we're gonna look at other African countries, right? When they want to build roads, what type of ridiculous money they do, what type of money that they sign. The still that they go through. Because in Africa, right, infrastructure roads is for them to steal money. That's all it is. But let's just compare it to other countries. That's all I got to say. So please, let's look at real details before we come up here and say Africans don't have the finance. Haiti, I'm sorry. Just 10 seconds, right? The reason why a lot of people wants to bring Haiti up, right? Because Haiti is much closer to America. America's not going to allow Haiti to develop. That's just how facts it is. That's just how it is. America would never allow a country so close to them to self-develop and self-power themselves. That's the biggest issue with Haiti. It's been proven. Look at the Civil War where you had in 18 something and then in the 90s in the early whatever it is. That's just how it is.
That's very true, Ben. They don't want Haiti to be self-sufficient.
Yes, exactly. I mean,
that's why they even
the West literally tells us that we want
that's why they killed President Jovenel.
If you want primacy around the world, you do not want competition. You do not want competition. That's why the West have a problem with China. No, I apologize. Go ahead. That's why, man. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I apologize.
Yeah, that's right. You see, the problem is what I'm trying to say to Elvis, right? Elvis think we just here criticizing, the white man, or we hating on the white man or the West. Our talking point here, Elvis, is the same thing that's been said in the British radio station, in the British channels, and so on. These are not just echo chambers. We are actually, saying the things that even the Europeans themselves are saying. They can see what their own government is doing to other countries. They're saying you need to stop doing it because it's causing mass migration. Mass migration. Because when you go and take the advantage of other people's land, you destroy it. You actually try to ravage their country for their mineral resources. You know what? One thing's going to happen. You're going to have mass migration. These people are going to leave their country. They're going to migrate to our countries. We don't want it. Even though we're going to benefit from their natural resources and what you're going to get from your military industrial complex, but you're still going to add these people, in our population. So your argument here, Elvis, is very counterproductive. It does not make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, bro. Because you're actually trying to defend the undefensible. You actually sound like a liberal who is actually a very right-leaning black man. Okay,
Okay.
and which is a shame because we've seen that. Yeah, I said, listen, I grew up with a lot of black brothers here that actually claim to be liberal, but they're very, very ultra right wing leaning. And these are the same people years later that come crying on my shoulders. I'm like, no, you didn't listen to what I got to say. Stop being around left, right, center, or liberals. Just stay focused.
Okay. Let
Keep
me
your
let me
eyes
res-
open.
let me respond to you quickly. Right. Look,
Yeah,
I'm an
mm,
African. You know, and
good. We all are.
standing yeah, standing on the rooftop and beating my chest that I'm a proud African doesn't change the realities on the ground in Africa. The point that I'm
Mm,
making is that when you do a critical analysis of us
yeah,
as Africans and how we run our countries and the lack of development that goes on within many African countries, some are doing better than others. What do you draw it down to? The lazy argument is to say, well, a certain group of people are stopping us. They have the capacity to stop us from developing ourselves. Others would say, well, our governments are not doing enough to build the infrastructure and the environment that makes that will allow us to reach our fullest potential. Many blames can go around, but the reality is we're the least developed continent on the earth. We
mm,
have the
for a
most
reason.
we have the most people leaving our respective countries and going to other countries on the planet.
I
Immigration,
don't. I disagree with that. I
our
disagree with that.
continent as a
Uh,
whole.
let him finish. Let him
I
finish.
So,
Let him
disagree with
finish.
that.
Let him
No,
finish.
no, no,
so
no. I
hold
don't want
I
it
on.
to.
think. I think. I
I
think.
have
I
to.
think.
No,
Yeah,
Let him
bang.
finish.
Stay
I
away
have to.
from this.
Let
I
him
have to
finish.
conclude.
Let him
Let me
finish. Let him
finish,
finish.
please.
Let him finish. Let him finish,
So
please. I
when
got
I'm
something.
what
I
I'm
got
saying
something.
is
I'm gonna cook today.
Mm.
I'm gonna cook today.
I'm criticizing
No, but
us.
no. Let me respond to him. Bang. You been
Yeah,
speaking,
I'm.
please.
Hold
Thanks.
on, guys. Let me finish, please. I'm criticizing
Yeah,
us
go
as
on.
African based
Mm,
on our current reality. Now,
mm.
smarter people than I could come up with reasons why we're not thriving, we're not developing at the rate that we should be, and maybe it's
Right.
because of a combination of all the different reasons that people have stated. But my point here is our current reality is that we're not developing, and we leave our home countries and come to these other countries because they're developed, and we choose to stay here because they are developed. So why did these countries develop and why can't we develop? The easy answer is not that they're stopping us from doing it. A man who is more capable than another man cannot be manipulated, by the person who is, is less capable. So my point here is liquid resources, right? If a man tell you I'm rich, I have 20,000 acres of land. In theory, he's rich, but rich is an abundance in a resource. A land itself, if you just have land and it's not making you money, it's not generating anything, you're not really, actually rich. So when you talk about your resources, why do you think your country sell your resources at a loss, or most of the time at a disadvantaged rate? Because
Mm,
the resources itself cannot develop you. You have to sell it for actual money and use that money to develop yourselves. So if you
mm,
go on a negotiation table and you're negotiating and you don't have the leverage, and somebody tell you, well, you have rubber, for example. In my country, we have rubber, but Malaysia
mm,
has rubber.
mm.
Indonesia has rubber. So what is the rate? What makes it feasible? What makes it more advantageous that I should invest $300 million or $400 million in your country,
Mm.
rather than going to Indonesia? What you have to do, you have to cut the price. You have to undercut their price to make it more
Right.
So
Okay.
it's
Okay.
about
Understand.
desperation. African
Okay.
countries need
Okay.
cash,
Okay. I
so
hear
they
you,
sell
and I
the
disagree.
resources at a low price
I
to get that money
okay. I
in
hear you.
to run their
I
countries.
hear you, and I disagree. Okay. Thank you. I hear you, and I disagree. I mean, United States of America, Latin Americans make the biggest migrants. Okay, not Africans. And United Kingdom, the Indian
Europeans,
population,
man.
no, wait. The Indian population, the Polish, Pakistani, and Romanian make the biggest migration in the European Union, which the closest continent, the closest land to Africa is the European Union. Actually have the Turkish migrant and the Moroccans, obviously, who we know they're North African, are the biggest migrants. Okay, while African migrants constitute actually fast growing, geographically in Southern Europe, countries like Italy, Spain, maybe for a reason because we know exactly what I'm saying in the Sahel again. I don't know why you keep hating black population and the black African
That's
people.
not true. Africa
You know,
has the highest net loss to migrate to immigration.
No. This is good, Elvis. Stop making this is statistic from the international
I just
migration.
went and read it on Google, brother.
You are not
That's why.
you are not an expert. You are not an expert. United States of America. I'll break it down for you. In the United States of America, Latin Americans are the biggest migrants. Okay, the Caribbean countries which are closer, with Mexico, okay, being the largest.
We're not talking
source,
about
okay?
people leaving their countries to go to neighboring countries. I'm talking about people leaving their continent. On our continent,
I'm breaking it down for you, dummy.
Elvis, there's over
I'm breaking it down.
million.
it says Africa has the largest per capita in terms of
over
migration.
200 million Europeans in America.
No, it's not.
Anybody
It's
can
just
go
lying. They're
research it
lying.
on Google.
I'm reading it. I'm reading it. I'm reading it now. I'm reading. No, hold on. No, I'm not allowed. I'm not gonna let this. No, okay, thank you. I'm not gonna allow you. I'm not gonna allow you to come here as usual and gaslight and making up stuff, Elvis. It's not gonna work this time.
Which continent has the most people leaving their continent and moving to another continent?
I have Googled it, and I break it down. Stop your self-hate. You hate your own.
What do you mean self-hate? Facts is not. It's not hatred.
Yeah. Okay. United States of America are the Latin Americans who are the closest neighbors. In Europe, okay, are the Ukrainian and the Turkish and the Moroccans. Okay. And I just break this down for you, and you're still arguing. You know, you give me a headache, brother. You know, I'm so disappointed how you think and your mindset. This is just wrong, Elvis.
I mean, you're looking at facts, and you think it's hatred, right?
I'm looking at fact, and I know Africans are not the biggest migrants in the world. They are not the biggest migrants in the world.
There's over 200 million Europeans in America. They left Europe, right? So
how do they global level migrants? Asian, the Indian and the Chinese and the Latin Americans are the biggest migrant globally. You cannot argue with that.
I mean, you just have to go and research it.
I don't want to hear you, honestly, for the fact that you're lying in front of us.
I mean, just go and research it, man. I don't want to argue. You're running to ad hominems.
You're my brother. You're my brother. As much as
it's a simple fact.
As much as you're my brother, I totally disagree. Thank you.
That's fine.
Let me say this, right? Okay. If I live in Africa, right? I'm minding my business, right? I'm doing whatever I'm gonna do, right? If you come to me as an outsider, right? Outsider from the continent, right? You approach me, right? You say you want this, right? I said, okay, take it. You know, you exchange whatever you and I agree upon, right? Okay. Then I decide to figure out, okay, well, this thing has much value, right? So you then come, I say, you know what? Let's look at the contract and work something much better that could favor me, because now I understand the value of this, right? You then said no, or whatever it is, right? And then you then probably send somebody to come on assassinate me, right? So then and then you kept the same contract to what it is, right? You put somebody that makes sure that they listen to you, they do everything that you're supposed to do, right? So what you just did, you replaced somebody that wanted to value their country with somebody that don't want to value their country. So now that individual that's in power will just do whatever you say. So as time goes on, the country is not what it's supposed to be. It's lack of developments. Roads, infrastructures, third world, everything. Education system, and exactly the same thing. But behind closed door, what you did, you assassinated somebody that wanted to have a respectful contract. Because you figured out that, you know what, this resource right here, I want it the way I want it. I want it under my control, the way I want it to be. You're not going to dictate what you want. That's what I'm trying to talk about. So yes, at the end of the day, what you just did, you handicapped my ability to help develop my country. You replace it with some idiot that just speaks fancy words. You replace with somebody that act like they don't know the value of the resource. You replace with somebody that's a yes sir. You replace it with an idiot that just want to go to a Western country and just buy fancy things and then bring it back to his country and show off and have his kids in overseas. You understand me, right? But to me now, if I look at you are that individual, it's what you are. I'm gonna call you out, no matter what country I live at. because I have the right. It's the truth. The truth is the truth. I'm gonna look at the contract. I'm gonna investigate. I'm like, no, this does not make no sense. No proper leader is gonna agree to this contract right here because it doesn't make no sense. But the leader approves it because why? Because that individual is a thief. It's a criminal. A criminal doesn't have to be somebody that have a gun in their hand. Your government is a criminal because you know why? They allow people to come and abuse their country when it comes to resource-wise. Resource is power. Resource is leverage. You come to my country, which means you needed it, but you needed it under your own condition. So what you doing now? You basically a dictator. That's what it is.
You're both right.
Come up here and then act like the capacity, the this and that. Okay, but look at those three countries. Look what they have done. Look at how much they have made now. I mean, the last time I checked, Burkina Faso did not have no gold reserve. Now they stacking on gold reserves. Now you had other countries as well wants to get into that same ability, especially like Ghana. Ghana wants to do their own gold reserve now, which is tremendous. Ghana wants to take some of that gold back from some of these corporations. Ghana wants to increase the percentage rate because you know why? Africa has seen it. Oh wow. So you had the right to change this contract. Instead, you lied to us and said, we have to oblige by the contract because this contract right here it's like a lifetime contract, which it was never a lifetime contract because any contract could be thrown away. So it was these three countries that finally wake us up and say, you know what? No. It shouldn't be like that. This contract right here is exploring my people. It's not. The West knew about it. The West did not care because you know why? It benefits them 100%. That's how they wanted it. Because cheaper resource for them, it is a 10 times, 20 times more profit for them. And that 10 times profit more for them, it gives them a higher capacity of finance. That's what it comes down to. That's exactly what it comes down to. You came to my house. You came to my door for my resource. I didn't went to your country and said, I need some type of capacity help because I can't survive in Africa. No, it was never us. It was them that came to us. When we said no, it was them that used the gun and then unalive some of our leaders. It was them that built this infrastructure when we keep creating these corrupt leaders that all they want to do is just drive a fancy cars and have a fancy houses in the Westerners. These African leaders are niggas.
That's a $10. That's a $10.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. God damn, man. I'm a cash app you. I'll Zelle you. I'm gonna try to Zelle you. Does Zelle block your people information? Because I don't want people to have my information. I don't trust some.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. I'm gonna send it to you, but I got you. Man, my bad.
But he's making a point. His point is correct.
That's just the truth. It's the foundation how we got here that people don't want to talk about. It's not the ability. It's never the ability or the lack of finance. The finance is the resource. That is the leverage. But the infrastructure that built in Africa, it created a dependency. That's why we lack of the finance. If you destroy that, the finance is always there. You see what all these countries are doing. Then how come the West have issues with these three leaders then? I mean, they could just easily get, you know what? You guys can go to effing hell. How come they have issue with them then? Yeah, let me try to, okay.
Oh boy.
But again, I think you guys are both right. There's a level of incapacity, but the incapacity is based on terms and manipulation, overthrowing, backing, all types of stuff that the West is behind as well. So you got to put everything into account. So Bang is absolutely correct, and that's why this summit was there. The summit was there to reshape.
When you guys do that, you know what you're doing. You're taking away the burden and the accountability of us Africans to develop.
No, I said it's both. It's both the corrupt leaders.
No, hold on.
The corrupt leaders are backed by the West.
The key factor in an individual. Let's go individual, right?
Who's backing corruption in Africa?
Hold on. Let me make the point.
Who's backing Cameroon?
Let me make the point, please. Right. So a person who lives in the United States, for example, who has free education from primary, to secondary school, they have that opportunity to be the, to go to school and get the best education because the environment is conducive for them to do that. In Africa, we blame other people than placing the blame on ourselves for our incapacity, our incompetence to build up our own countries. The reality is the blame lies squarely on us. If a white man comes to your
not
country,
squarely, not squarely.
hold on, because when you say these things, you're telling us that the Africans don't have the capacity to see a scam from a mile away. They don't have the capacity to know that a white man is going to want to have a deal that is more advantageous to him, or a person who wants to do business in your country is looking to get a good deal that is more advantageous to them. The point here is, if we can't build our own continents, if we can build our own countries ourselves, the blame is not on other people. The blame is squarely on us. So don't cop out by saying, "Oh, the white man is doing this. They're stopping us from developing. They're stealing our resources." All of those things are insinuating that Africans lack the ability. Hold on. All of those things insinuate that Africans lack the ability to protect their own resources. They lack the ability to critically think when they're negotiating with different companies about their resources. So don't do that. You're insulting Africans when you think you're protecting them and placing the blame on other people.
No. I said it's both, Elvis. It's both the people, and as well as there's a backing by the West to push their interest in the nation. The same way some of these leaders, you said that, Africa lacked the capacity. Some of these leaders been in power for 30 years. Some of these people been in power since independence in the 1960s.
Oh yes, our leaders have a big blame.
They lack the capacity. They don't have the foresight.
Listen, I agree. I mean, both of you make some valid points in there. I would take some from both of you guys. Okay, I mean, Elvis, look, me, you, and Bang. Yeah, if we're going to be speaking here honestly, we both, all three of us know, if it wasn't for that brutal civil war that we've been through in Sierra Leone and Liberia, the chance of us leaving Liberia and Sierra Leone to come and settle in the West, it's very slim. Let's be factual. Because those countries had everything that you can find over here. But we know why. We know who was behind those problems. We know who was behind Blood Diamond. It was well documented, and they made films over it, Elvis. For the fact that you actually have such a short memory.
Are you saying it wasn't Charles Taylor who was behind Blood Diamonds and Foday Sankoh to fund their arms?
No, who do you think was funding them, Elvis? Who do you think was behind it? The film system.
The guys came up with the ingenious idea that we are going to go into Sierra Leone. I don't know if it's Kinema or some other place. Hold on. The movie doesn't tell the full story. I'm a Liberian, you're a Sierra Leonean, right? I live in the President Charles Taylor's neighborhood. He was my neighbor. He lived in my community, right? They went to these places, had slaves, people who were captured during the war, people whose villages were raided. They made them forced labor to work to dig diamonds, and Charles Taylor got mayonnaise jars full of diamonds, rough diamonds. You know who he sold it to? He sold it to Al-Qaeda. He sold it to the Russians. He sold it to emissaries, and it ended up in Belgium and in Antwerp. He sold it to whoever he could sell it to so that he could get money to buy arms from Victor Bout. So when you say those things, it makes it seem like Charles Taylor is an idiot and an imbecile, and his brain was being controlled by white people to dig diamonds with African hands so that he can sell it and buy guns. It was Charles Taylor. He just sold it to whoever was the highest bidder, who he could get money from in exchange for arms.
Charles Taylor was in Liberia. Okay, we know according to all the allegedly, everything that I read, allegedly, it was the multinational corporations who were behind it, and they wanted to make money from this conflict. That's why, just to actually certify what I'm saying here, that's why they placed a ban on conflict diamonds.
It's an old trick. Jonas Savimbi used to do the same thing in Angola. He took the diamonds in Angola and sold it for arms with UNITA.
Who was behind it? What do
you mean? If I say, look, I got a jar full of diamonds that's really worth $20 million, but if you exchange $3 million worth of arms, I'll give you this jar. I'll give you this jar of diamonds that's worth $20 million.
Compared to the Sierra Leone state and the Liberian states that have more than how many million dollars weapons and machinery. Come
Charles
on,
Taylor
Elvis.
was
Let's do
literally
this.
giving diamonds, jars full of diamonds for weapons. That's how he was able to sustain his war.
You know what? You know what? I got a headache.
I
I'm
don't
so disappointed.
understand. Everything you take the blame away from the African. I don't get it. I really don't get it.
I know we the one that actually got into this. We have to
Why do you
blame.
always think
We
there's a
have
puppet
ourselves.
master controlling the
We
Africans?
have ourselves, Elvis. We have
Pause,
ourselves
man.
to blame also. I agree. This is the reason why I'm saying, but you're not looking at both sides. Okay, you're not looking at both sides. You're always emphasizing and defending the other side. This is a problem. You spend more. Listen. If you're balanced in your approach, nobody's gonna argue with you here, bro. But you're not balanced in the approach. For us, you sound like you're representing the others, not
No,
us.
I'm telling you, we have agency. We as African people, we have agency. We're not slaves. Nobody is controlling our brains. We have brains. We can think for ourselves. Our actions are our
And
own
also, you never
actions.
speak positive of the Mano River Union. There are a lot of initiative that's going on as we speak in the Mano River Union. You never come here and speak positive of it. You're always negative,
Look,
negative,
I'm a
negative. What's
realist.
wrong with you?
I don't come and give people
Elvis,
fairy tales. I'm just a
what's your
realist.
opinion on the summit? What's your opinion on the summit?
Look, I'm telling you this, right? Principally, you're not smarter. I mean, maybe you are. But most people think
Oh, Principe
that,
is smart, brother, man. You
hold
can't
on,
say
hold
that,
on,
man.
hold on. What I'm saying here, listen. What I'm saying is people think they know government unless you've worked in government, unless you've seen the constraints of African government and how they function and what they have to do to have capital coming into their government to do basic services. You don't understand why these people go to Beijing and they go to these different summits to try to solicit money from these different governments. And so when Kenya, who is relatively a well-off country in East Africa, is having a summit with France, it means that it's going to be mutual. They're going to benefit from whatever, and France is going to benefit. The problem here is we don't want these Western countries to benefit. We want France to come and build our infrastructure and take nothing back from us. Or we want the United States to give us aid without asking for anything back in return. None of these countries are altruistic. They're looking for their self-interest